Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm actually hoping that it's live. It's Face Off Hockey Show. I'm Scotty Waz. You see there in SD format, Mark with
Says
the C.
says we're on the air. This is atrocious. Don't look, I'm hideous. Oh god.
Turn away! Mark with the C there.
Yeah.
Having a little difficulties from his computer, which we have come to find out as par for the course.
Yeah, whatever. I decided that I think after this show, or between this show and next show, I am going to blow my computer away, start fresh, take everything off, put it onto a hard drive, and then just start from the beginning. Because I think that's my computer has seen better days, and I feel like just reloading from the beginning is the only way to solve all of these problems.
Well, that's what we all have with all our problems. We start anew, Mark, and then we go from there.
Yes, sir. And which reminds me, I'm going to try and solve this problem by rebooting, because that's step number one.
Well, you
So,
go ahead and reboot, and I will fill for 3 minutes and tell the people about my fun times at Mr. Mike's this evening.
all right, time me. I'll be
All right.
back.
We will time him. It is now 5:34 in the Mountain Time.
Yes.
We'll go from there. All right, bye, Mark. There goes Mark, and he is gone, and we're going to time him. He said 3 minutes pre-show, and we'll see what happens there. This week we've got a fun-filled, action-packed show. We have Sean Leahy on from Puck Daddy, continuing our Puck Daddy series of 2. Last week we had Greg Wyshynski. This week we have Sean Leahy. Really doesn't get any better than that, folks. Sadly, it doesn't get any better than that. Also, we'll have Lyle Richardson on, and we have a lot to talk about with Lyle because the Nazem Kadri issue has been resolved in Toronto, and we have a lot of PTOs as well as Alex Pietrangelo not going to camp for St. Louis, and boy howdy, the training camps have started big and wild there for the NHL on this dire day, as many players going into physicals for today. A lot of new faces in new places, and then skating starts off, I think, tomorrow, and then I think actually Kraft Hockeyville will start off the preseason with the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Washington Capitals, and I think St. John, or at least in Newfoundland proper, that will happen. So we will see what's going on there. All that fun stuff. Let me look at the rundown. What we'll be talking about, Mr. Leahy, about. Big news here where I'm from in beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada, as boy howdy, Brian Burke is here. He made things more interesting, as well as the Florida Panthers. They have a goaltending issue, and you're going to want to hear about it. So that is going to be interesting things, but while Mark's not here and I'm here solo El Mio, I'm going to talk to you about throw a plug in for Mr. Mike's Casual Steakhouse, which I was there this afternoon, and boy howdy, was it a fun time there in Airdrie, 130 Sierra Springs Drive in Airdrie, Alberta. The two Becks, Becca and Becky, taking care of me very well as Molly is taking care of me as well. Great times, great people, great food, and you folks should try it out because it is a good time, and we watch a little sports there. Watch a little hockey, and that's the big thing. The big news, especially on the TSN, Nazem Kadri, 2 years, $5.8 million. After the long and arduous media debate and media bartering that they did, it is finally done. $5.8 million over 2 years. If you do the math real quick, you're better than me. It's over 2.5, not close to $3 million per year. Big deal because they still have Cody Franzen to sign, and also they have Mason Raymond to a PTO. But all the more better is Kadri not playing 100 games yet, still pulling in a nice amount of bank for himself, considering. So we'll see how that all turns out. He's got 2 years to prove himself to get that big long-term deal or to be shipped out to somewhere else. And, and that's a big deal because Nazem Kadri was the big restricted free agent. There's a couple more restricted free agents out there. Jarrett Cowan, Altamine, Cody Hodgson signed 6-year deal with Buffalo, and we'll get all the facts and figures with Lyle Richardson in the second hour coming up. So it was a big week overall because a lot of things have happened, a lot of PTOs given out because, like I said, camp started today. We'll get into full swing the preseason starting the weekend, and then it goes on further from there. But luckily, hockey is back, man, and we have had a long summer. If you have listened to us this summer, then all the best to you because you have gone through quite just the it's been an amazing thing that we have been able to fill 2 hours plus on just complete utter nonsense. Sure, we filled it up with crazy Australians, much love to Sasky. We filled it up with crazy sitcoms and things from our past, but now we can finally get into nitty gritty as we are less than, I would say, 3 weeks away from opening day in the NHL, and what a glorious day that'll be for all of us because we can actually get to talk on the ice, much less than speculation. We will get to all that. But the big burning question this week and the big thing here in Calgary was Brian Burke. What is Brian Burke going to do with your Calgary Flames? Because that's going to be a huge deal. He is taking over as president as hockey operations. He has said he is not the GM, but Jay Feaster does report to him. That is the most interesting thing that I've ever seen in my life because of the fact that when Jay Feaster came in here as assistant general manager for Daryl Sutter, it was only a couple years before Daryl Sutter was boom, peace, finito Santiago, as they were to say. And, Brian Burke does have that little GM kick in him. He still wants to be in a higher role, while he does say publicly he does not want to be in a higher role. I think he still has an H. I think, it's almost like you can't take the player out of the game. You can't take the GM out of the front office position. And oddly enough, they also introduced John Bean as the team's COO, going from CFO to COO, and no one asked him a question during Thursday's press conference. I thought that was rather fun and exciting for me. It's now 5:39 on the Mountain Time. Mark is 5 minutes past the reboot period. Interestingly enough, he had a 3-minute time limit, so here we are. We're talking about Brian Burke. And the fun thing about Brian Burke is that he said in his press conference that he would not be the focal point. He said that the media came to him, much less than him going to the media. But we all know that, Brian Burke will be the guy that says, he's the kind of guy that settles up to you in the bar and goes, so, team's really struggling there. And he gets you into a conversation. And I think that's what he's going to do with the media here as much as he wants to deny it. If he wants to debate me, by all means, come to the show, sir. faceoffhockeyshow@gmail.com. You can go ahead and check us out there. Send us an email saying you want to be on this little hangout show. I will go down to the Saddle Dome, and I will interview you with a video cam and all that other fun stuff, and we'll get it all done. But it's interesting, and a lot of pundits are saying that, you know what, Jay Feaster is not long for this role as a general manager of the Calgary Flames. Of course, the whole debacle with Ryan O'Reilly last year during the offer sheet gate, which I don't even think. I think it's a lot of pejoratives in that whole dynamic there. So yeah, whether or not Brian Burke is going to be the next GM for the Calgary Flames remain to be seen. But the consensus of the media, both in Calgary and across the nation in Canada, and I'm sure in the United States as well, is that Brian Burke is essentially sizing up the office to make sure that the curtains are the proper length for him when he moves into that GM position. He puts on a good front, but he's put on a good front before, and then alas, the Flames just decided to create this new position for him. Not saying that they're going to put a coup on Jay Feaster, but in general, they're just going to go ahead and hope for the best. Hope for the best, and that's what we're going to do here with this whole thing. Mark is at, he is almost at 10 minutes. It's kind of sad almost. Of course, Mark having computer troubles as he had last week. Johnny P picked up another refereeing gig. Good for him. Big ups Johnny P, because he is making his name in the collegiate soccer world. Kids, he's going to be in the World Cup. Just believe you me, he will be in the World Cup sooner rather than later. It might be the World Cup of basketball. It might be the World Cup of hockey. It seems that everyone is making a World Cup these days in the world of sports. But Johnny P will be there because you know what? He's Johnny on the spot. It's not just a clever name, folks. It is a lifestyle. So it's interesting what we're going to do here without Mark hanging out. We'll send him another invite. We'll also get our guest on, Mr. Sean Leahy. Sean Leahy, you might know him from Puck Daddy. You might know him from such things as Going 5-Hole, his original blog. You might know him from the white that you put on the little swatch that you get to paint your room a show white. He's there. He will talk to us in a few minutes here, and we'll talk to him about a wide variety of things. He was at Olympic camp that Mr. Greg Wyshynski was on. He was there last week. He had a take on it. We'll get Sean Leahy's take on it as well. Why not? Sean Leahy's a different man. He's a wild man. He's a crazy man. He's a guy who is used to 3 months of jokes being compiled up, but now it's every week. We actually get it the next day, and it's really weird, and he doesn't understand it. We actually got it 3 days later this time. We actually got it on Monday when Johnny P had the time after his busy schedule to go ahead and put us on there. So we get Sean Leahy's take on Olympic camp. We'll get Sean Leahy's take on the jersey situation as well. He posted an interesting video from the Bruins doing their own little 24/7 kind of gimmick, and they followed themselves in draft in the lead up to the Tyler Seguin trade. And it's interesting enough that a lot of teams are now going with the whole ideal of doing their 24/7 gimmick, just in terms of trying to put themselves out there, trying to put the actual press out there a little more for themselves, and all power to them. If you want to give all access to your fans, you might as well go ahead and give all access to your fans by any means necessary. And we will see how well that goes for them. Not gonna lie to you folks, struggling here by myself. It's not usual that I'm here by myself, and I am filling for time. Oh my God, thank you, Mark, for showing up. You got things fixed, and I had to fill for 10 minutes.
Sorry, buddy.
Holy crap. It's all right. No, it's all good. I figured it was going. I was talking about I filled with the Brian Burke situation. About what he's doing in Calgary. And I'll ask you this question. How long do you think Brian Burke will be the president of hockey operations before he takes over the GM position?
I guarantee you that Brian Burke already has a plan to take over the entire franchise. And it involves not wearing a tie all the way up to his neck.
Well, we got a guy not wearing a tie up all to his neck, and a guy who's not wearing his pants, I'm pretty sure. That's Sean Leahy. Mr. Sean Leahy, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, boys. What's going on?
I'm glad that you not only have a lot of accoutrement on your wall, but also thank you for joining us. And we're talking about a little bit about Brian Burke. Your thoughts over under 12 months. Brian Burke will be president of hockey operations before he takes the GM position.
I give it way under. If you look at when the Flames hired Jay Feaster a couple years ago, I believe it was all of 4 months until Darryl Sutter stepped down and Feaster took over. So it was a pretty obvious move, bringing an experienced GM in there and Feaster to eventually replace Sutter, and that's what you're going to have here at any given moment. Really, the Flames probably going to have a pretty terrible season. So I'm sure by come next April, by the end of the season, Brian Burke will be the GM, because you don't hire a guy like Brian Burke with his bravado, truculence, attitude to kind of stay behind the scenes. He's going to be up front, and eventually he'll be the guy making the personnel decisions for the Flames.
And Brian Burke seems like the guy that you bring in. Like he's like one of those renovation shows on HGTV. Like bring him, you have a really shitty franchise, and you bring in this guy, and he look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were terrible. Burke spent 2.5 years, 3 years revamping the entire lineup, and then they got sick of him, and off he went to go do another franchise and make a shit ton of money. So it's almost as if the Flames are like, well, if Toronto can do it, we can do it. We make a little money off of it. Once we're back in prominence, we'll hire somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy's got a couple rings for a reason with the Ducks, so he's been around the league for a very, very long time, knows it very well. So he may be that general manager now in this post-salary cap world where he's like you said, he's a rebuilder. He'll turn a team around, but to take him over that hump, to make him go over that next step, maybe he's not that guy. We know, there's a lot of coaches that way. I mean, Michel Therrien's a perfect example. Look what he did in Pittsburgh. Look what he's done in Montreal so far, but he hasn't been able to take a team to that next level. So, I think Burke, right now, I think he's kind of that guy to kind of go in, especially with the Flames. I mean, that team's probably just as bad, if not worse, than the Leafs when he took over them so many years ago. So the Flames just need a very, very, very big makeover, and I think it starts with getting rid of Jay Feaster and really starting fresh.
I smell a TV show.
Feaster famine. Feaster famine is what we're going to
right
call
after betting balls.
Exactly. It's a big Thursday night lineup. It's replacing must-see TV. We might as well go ahead and go for it all. Mr. Leahy, you were at the U.S. Olympic Camp, or as I like to call it, Olympic Comic-Con. Your thoughts on everything?
There was no cosplay involved. Sorry, I didn't trust Mike Ruzioni.
maybe for you, but I'm sure there's a lot of people dressing up as Jim Craig there, just looking for their dad. But that could be just the area. But anyway,
come on, we know you'd be we know you'd be O'Callahan.
Oh, that's right, of course. They call me OC.
So go ahead and give your thoughts about the whole dog and pony show that happened that whole entire week.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, obviously it sucked that because of insurance issues, the guys couldn't get on the ice and actually have formal practices. They did like a couple little clinics for some youth hockey players in the area, but obviously for all these countries, Canada, USA, Sweden, getting these guys together, getting their long list, their pool together, so at least they're on the same page as far as how they want the team to play, what they're looking for, how they're going to build the team, et cetera, et cetera. Because you think about it, the next time that team gets together, when they have the full list, is going to be in Sochi about 36 to 48 hours before their first game. So, they're going to have a very short time to build that chemistry in such a short tournament. But I thought overall it was good. Sadly, from a media perspective, it's kind of the last time you're able to talk to these guys where they don't have the game face on, not spitting out cliches. I mean, we were talking to Phil Kessel for a good 15 minutes. The guy was laughing, smiling, talkative, not looking like he didn't want to be there. I mean, this is Phil Kessel we're talking about. But it was good. I mean, a lot of the guys that we saw were on the 2010 team, like Kessler, Parisi, David Backus. Ryan Kessler told me that the image of the Canadians celebrating the gold medal after Crosby's goal has not left his mind. So a lot of these guys, they're out for revenge in Sochi, and looking at the pool that USA Hockey's put together. I think they're going to have a pretty good shot to get back to the gold medal game again. I remember in 2010, everyone saw the roster and like, oh God, this team's going to get killed. Chris Drury's on the team. What are they doing? But the way Brian Burke built it in 2010 is the way David Poile said he's going to build it this time around. It's going to be a team concept. You can't send out 4 lines of 40 goal scorers like Canada can do. Who knows if they're going to do it? But on that bigger ice service in Sochi, you need some. You need those first-line guys, and you also need the contributions of a guy who's specifically aimed for the fourth line. So I think that this time around, they're a solid team, and they should be going for gold again this year.
And 4 years is a long time when it comes to talent development and when it comes to coaching. I think that the strength of the team was and is going to be goaltending. We talked with Greg about this last week, and I went so far as to say that the United States might be the number 1 country in the world when it comes to goaltender development, and there's 3 legit number 1 goalies on this team. Not to say that Ryan Miller didn't do a great job with that team 4 years ago, 3 years ago, but what do you think as far as the goaltender? Do you think that Jonathan Quick is going to be the guy, and do you think that that's going to influence what kind of defenseman that they pick up for the team based on Quick's style?
I agree, and I think it's a pretty obvious point about Team USA for 2014 is no matter the 3 guys that they go with. Obviously, they're not going to go with John Gibson, the young kid. They just want him there, kind of get him in the program like they've done before with players in the past, but. You got John Quick, Ryan Miller, Craig Anderson, who, Mark, you mentioned, they have 3 guys. You could have, I think Craig Anderson could be legit number 1. I mean, if he wasn't hurt last couple seasons, his numbers were outstanding, so he could get on a run. Any of these guys can get on a run for the first 3 months of the season and really put themselves in position to take the number 1 job. But like I mentioned, it's probably, to me, I think it's going to be John Quick just because he's just been so great the last couple seasons. Ryan Miller, I think he's obviously had a couple of down years, but I think with Sochi, all this talk that, hey, he's going to be usurped by Quick, maybe Jimmy Howard, maybe Craig Anderson for that number 1 or number 2 job, I think that's going to motivate him. And there's no way Ryan Miller, a guy of his caliber, is going to be that as bad as he's been on that Sabres team like they were the last couple seasons. They're going to be better. He's going to be better. He's always going to be motivated to be on that team, to battle for that number 1 job. But in the end, I think it's going to be quick. He was there in 2010 as that third guy just to get that experience. And I think, like I mentioned, that you look at all the countries. I mean, is there any country that's as deep in goal as Team USA? I mean, you're going to pick 3 guys for the team, and you're going to be leaving out, 2 guys that are very good goaltenders. So it's going to be an easy decision for David Poile and the staff, but also a very tough decision to kind of narrow down who are the top 3 guys that you want to take to Sochi.
Well, I think last week we discussed Finland as well as a pretty deep, or at least going into the 2010 they were very deep. Nowadays, Tuukka Rask is there, and I think you have the younger kids coming up, but I think they're still an Olympics away before we get to wherever the hell.
Niemi, Lehtinen, Rask, like you mentioned. So I mean, they're up there as well for sure.
The big thing coming out of the Comic-Con was the jerseys with stars everywhere. They're all over the shoulders. And honestly, I think this could be the summer of the uniform. With all the teams changing their uniforms and all the Olympic uniforms coming out, even spoiler alerts, Canada coming out and Getty Images.
The summer of the uniform was 2000 after the lockout, 2005, 2006 when they changed the jerseys. But I'm with you, Scotty.
Who doesn't like a little unnecessary piping to go with himself? But this year,
I do it all the time. I mean,
what?
Yeah, you're talking in uniforms. I'm sorry.
Crazy. You do that in your personal business, sir.
On the show tonight, I was going to draw on some fake laces right here in my collar, just to say forget the summer of the jersey. It's the summer that Nike ruined the hockey jersey.
After the summer that they ruined the football jersey. So.
Exactly. I mean, they did Canada's, USA's, Russia's. And
they got everybody. They got the whole Olympic thing. It's just other teams are too embarrassed to unveil them.
Yeah, we haven't seen Sweden's or Finland's and the other countries just yet, I believe, but I'm sure they're all going to be horrendous. And just, I mean, for the Team USA jerseys, the blue ones, if they didn't have all the stuff on the shoulder with the stars or whatever, I think it'd be a nice, solid jersey. The logo is awesome. It's a little classic-looking logo. The white jerseys, same deal. If they didn't have that stuff on the shoulder and it's just that straight white with the logo, very, very sharp. But just, I don't know what they're thinking. Why would you put just the fake lace look on it? Why not just either go with real laces or don't? I mean, I know the guys don't use the actual laces on the jerseys these days. It's kind of just for show. So just take them off. I mean, what's the point of having them there? It looks ridiculous. It looks like something you make in like 3rd grade art class.
And I'm pretty sure I did, and I'm pretty sure that they stole my gimmick, and I will sue Nike sooner or later because they have a nice facility in Oregon that I want to have a coach's room with a hot tub. Is that too much to ask? But outside of the Olympic jerseys, the NHL jerseys are going with the practice jerseys as their real jerseys. San Jose has shown that. Carolina has shown that. And many other team has shown that. Especially, well, let's look the Buffalo Sabres. Let's not bury the lead.
Boy.
The Buffalo Sabres alternative jerseys could be the greatest thing since the Burger King jerseys. And by greatest, I mean most awful.
I had a very popular tweet that day. I said that the new Sabres jerseys would look great in the XFL because they look like pure XFL jerseys. They should have "He Hate Me" on the back. Vince McMahon should be on center ice. Their game should start with a race towards the puck, and the first guy to get the puck, the team gets possession. Those things are just
no. Let's go all the way, Sean. And then not a race to the puck at center ice. You have one person send it down from the other side of the rink, and you try to beat out that icing.
Yeah,
that's the first one to get to the puck.
Do that. So you found out the hard way.
And Brian Campbell. You send them every game. It doesn't even matter if they're playing that day.
Well, didn't Campbell get a little push from Ovi? Was that?
No, there was no evidence of that. There was no evidence.
Here's what happened. He was playing on soft ice, and it just slipped. And things happen. These things happen. Let's not kid ourselves.
But back to the Sabres jerseys. I mean, like I tweeted out as well at same day. I mean, with all these bad jerseys, ugly, just disgusting jerseys that nobody likes. Obviously, the Sabres one. The Sabres one was so ugly that even their team president wouldn't comment on them when asked by a reporter from the Buffalo News. That's how bad the reaction was. At some point along the line, from the concept to having it be on Steve Ott's body, more than one person said, "You know what? Those look great. Let's put those out on the ice for a couple seasons." I mean, this in some people's eyes within the Sabres organization, that was a good look, and those people need to not be in that position because as we saw the reaction on Twitter, those things are just terrible. And I wish they were released jersey sales numbers because I would love to see how much those will sell, how much the Islanders black jerseys sold, the ones that came out a couple of years ago. Just all these terrible ones. I just love to see how many they've sold until at the games and at the various stores around the city because they got to be pretty low.
Here's a representation of what happened in that Sabres meeting. That looked great, gentlemen. I think we can dust ourselves off, just put our feet up, and have ourselves a nice
Bring in the horse.
Did they hire Foghorn Leghorn?
What they did is they worked back to the 1920s, and they did that whole gimmick as well, so that worked out perfectly. By the way, in this small desk to actually put my feet up was quite the feat, so big points to me for that one.
All over.
No.
I expect you should fall out of the back of your chair, to be honest with you.
That would be
gone viral.
more hilarious.
That would be the most watched face-off hockey show of all time.
And then Jimmy Kimmel will come through my door and pick my chair up. It'd be really weird, and we'd all have a good laugh about it. So there's that. The Sabres are kind of a lost cause this year, let's be honest. Vanek's going to get traded, Miller's going to get traded, and the team's just going to be all about wings and the anchor bar.
Yeah.
And Joe Yerdon going up there and covering that team. So good for him. Good for him.
I blame Robin Regeer. Really.
What?
I blame Robin Regeer.
Because he's from Brazil?
Yes. We are going to Brazil. We are going to Brazil. You're not going to Brazil.
What?
We're going to Brazil.
Half of me is going. How's that? Yeah, because Johnny's not here to talk soccer, so we'll talk a little soccer.
Yeah, I was gonna go grab my U.S. jersey over there because I forgot to put it on. I'm not like John. I don't have all the fancy new ones. I got the one from 5 years ago. So it still has Charlie Davies on the back of it. For God's sakes.
Wow.
He's coming back, right?
He's been coming back for 4 years now. So.
Yeah.
Not playing, just showing up. Hey guys, what's happening?
Now that Eddie Johnson filled the role that Charlie was supposed to have, I don't think that Charlie's going to be able to crack that lineup anymore. Sadly, but well, obviously we have more hockey to get to, but I brought it up, so we're going to talk about it. Did you watch the game last night, Sean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Dos to zero.
Because you're a goddamn American, that's why.
Proud American.
Scott, did you watch the game last night?
I was asleep.
Did they even broadcast it in Canada?
I'm sure it was on one of the TSN stations, or actually one of the Rogers stations, because they were doing a lot of World Cup qualifying up here. I think we had Netherlands against, Andorra the other night.
When did Canada get eliminated from World Cup qualifying?
I think 7 years ago.
Mark, they just lost to a country called Mauritania.
What?
I swear that's true. Google it. They lost to some country called Mauritania or Mauritius. I swear it's true.
Check it out.
It's pronounced Morocco. And here's the thing. They had a mole on their team, and he wore a fez, and he stole all the game plans. That was the big deal.
I'm pretty sure it's the island they were on from Lost. That's how random it is.
That's like Puerto Rico beating the USA in Olympic basketball. It's a territory of Canada to beat Canada. I don't understand how it worked.
Is it kind of disgraceful or awesome that Steve Nash is probably the best player on Canada's national soccer team right now?
Well, they got Di Rosario, right? He's Canadian.
Exactly. I was going to say Di Rosario is up there.
Okay.
But other than that, second best, yeah. But he can't put together a good basketball team, as seen by their epic collapse in the Americas tournament.
But Nash is a natural number 10. Natural.
I understand that, but he's also a natural number 2, and he still couldn't get it done. They couldn't beat goddamn Venezuela, for Christ's sake.
Shots fired.
I could beat Venezuela with 4 other guys. I'm just saying.
What if okay, never mind. Is that the half American talking or the half Canadian talking?
Yes. Look, we've got like 7 Jamaicans on the Canadian basketball team. I don't know how that works out. It's like international hockey, where if you live in Switzerland for like 6 months, you get a passport.
Is John Candy coaching your basketball team?
Of course he is. We're just propped his corpse up on the bench. It's great.
Doug needs work.
Get on up, it's basketball time. It doesn't rhyme that well. It doesn't flow that well.
No.
But away we go.
Dougie Doug, you'd expect it would.
Yeah. But yet, here we are. But speaking of fresh starts and cool runnings, Man, the Florida Panthers are desperate, aren't they? They have
Oh.
offered professional tryouts to Tim Thomas and Ilya Brizgalov, essentially just killing Jacob Markstrom's development forever. I don't know what to make of this, aside from the fact that, hey, there's going to be a lot of crazy in net one way or the other.
Yeah, I actually wrote the Panthers preview, which is going to go up tomorrow on Puck Daddy, and my goodness, they're going to be bad this season. And I found one interesting little factoid. Did you know last season was the first time in franchise history they ever finished 30th, dead last in the NHL in their entire history, which I thought was kind of odd, considering how many down years that they had. The only time they've ever finished last in the league, which is pretty interesting. But back to your point, Scotty, I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I mean, they're moving to this Atlantic Division, whatever you want to call it, Northeast, Adams Division. They got the Red Wings.
The Tractor Beam Division.
Yeah.
The Tractor Beam Division. Okay. That's going to be a nice looking banner, the Tractor Beam Division. They're going to have the Red Wings, the Senators, the Sabres, who should be better, the Leafs, the Bruins, the Lightning. I think that's it.
That's it.
It's great that we've talked about 3 teams so far that are just miserable. Like Calgary, no chance. Buffalo, they're gonna blow again. Florida, I don't think they should be even in the league.
Yeah, and with this new playoff format, the divisional playoff format, how are they going to overcome any of those teams with that roster? I mean, last year they're coming off the division, the winning the division title. Their whole team got just destroyed. I think they had like 361 man games, lost to injuries, like 4th in the NHL last season. So they just had a lot of bad luck. But even if they have some healthy guys this year, Campbell, Versteeg, Huberdeau hopefully has a good sophomore campaign. Barkov should be a pretty good rookie. They could make some progress. At least some of the young guys could show something for the future. But they're not going to make the playoffs this year. Why are you going to bring in Tim Thomas? Why are you going to bring Ilya Brizgalov? I know Clemenson's out for a little while. But you got this kid Michael Hauser. Maybe bring up. I think you brought in a guy named Rob Medor. Just go with Markstrom. He's your guy of the future. He's 23 years old, I believe it is. Why are you going to screw around with this kid? Just put him in net. Let him just put him to the fire.
Here's why. Get to the salary floor. That's the reason why they're doing this, to get to the salary floor. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people who bought those $7 season tickets who got all that swag who are still saying they're ripped off. I think that's really a damning situation on this team. Under 5 years before this team moves to Kansas City.
Oof.
I don't think so. I believe that their lease situation is pretty.
Is it Phoenix Coyote tight?
It's not bad. It's just a situation where it would be pretty expensive, I believe, to get out of that lease there. And plus, that whole situation there with that arena, they have a whole entertainment company. I mean, it's South Florida. It's 20 miles from Miami. They book a lot of high-end events at that arena. So I think the hockey team there, they may not bring in the big bucks, but I don't think them losing money is really hurting that whole, I think it's called Sunrise Sports and Entertainment or something, whatever it is. But, sure, they got to get to the salary cap floor. Okay, don't bring in Brizgalov. Don't bring in Thomas. Go with Markstrom. Spend that money up front. Spend that money on your defense. Their defense, outside of Dmitry Kulikov and Eric Bronson, they have 97-year-old Ed Jovanovski, who has a degenerative hip condition. Played 6 games last year.
I think he's still got good years on him. I still think
this isn't 1994 when they drafted him.
Hold on. I got to check my. It's not 1994. Amazing. It's 2013. I apologize.
They have Mike Weaver, who's 35.
Dreamweaver.
Mike Mata, who's like 38 or something like that. I mean, they just shore up your defense. Add a little scoring punch up front with Thomas Fleischman and Kopecky, Versteeg, and those guys. Just go with Markstrom and net. The guy's been biding his time for the last couple of years. They were talking about bringing Luongo this summer, last summer. Just really kind of dicking this kid around. Just go with him in net. Shore up the other spots. Spend that $7 or $8 million you need to do to get to the cap floor and go from there. Because, like I said, they're going to be bad anyway. But at least show the fans that there's something to look for, in the future with some of these young kids.
if you're going total rebuild, you have to go Calgary Flames mode, where Joey McDonald could be your number one goaltender, and you got to throw Jacob Markstrom, the kid of the future, in there because he's dancing down there in San Antonio for nothing more than just whatever the PA guy is playing through, and now you're dicking him around in Florida with. But let's be honest, the hilarity that Tim Talens, Ilya Bryzgalov tandem that make, like honestly, that alone is worth the $7 in season tickets you're going to pay for that team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess bad PR is still PR, and if Thomas, wherever Thomas goes, that first day he shows up, he's gonna have to get those questions out of the way about his political beliefs and that whole deal with the White House. At some point, he's gonna have to answer if he wants to come back, because that's what people are gonna want to talk to him about at first. And plus, he's also 38, 37 years old, hasn't played in a year. I mean, if I were going with the two, I'd rather go with Bryzgalov. I mean, he wasn't terrible last season. He wasn't the reason why the Flyers are so bad. And he's also entertaining, as we've seen. You could build a freaking reality show around the guy. I mean, put that on Fox Sports Florida or something. That'll sell some ad space.
And let's be honest, you look at his track record. In non-hockey markets, he's phenomenal. In Phoenix, he was great. In Anaheim, he was amazing. Philadelphia, he shat a couple of bricks. But at the same time, you put him in a non-hockey market like Miami, dude's going to take this team to a second-place divisional final. I mean, he is a guy who's going to take them to the playoffs because there's no pressure on him, and Dwayne Wade is just taking up all the headlines because him and LeBron had a steak sandwich at Subway. That's the big deal.
He's going to go from Philly, where it's a media madhouse, to South Florida, where I believe they only have, I think it's like two or three beat writers. So instead of after a loss getting surrounded by all these different TV cameras and microphones,
it's David J. Neal and the Shiki. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot slimmer crowd after a loss in the Florida Panthers locker room if he does go there.
And that's the thing when he signed with Philly, man, and that was our big contention there, is he did great in Phoenix. There's no media presence there. He did great in Anaheim. No media presence there. He got eaten alive in Philly, where every move you make, it's like a Sting song. He'll be watching you. He'll be watching you. Just go get us another beer, Gordy.
I think it's ridiculous, the amount of contracts we've seen signed, that immediate fan reaction and immediate, I won't call us pundits, I'll call us fans that happen to be sort of in the media.
Call us pundits.
The immediate response...
I want to be called a pundit, Mark.
All right, you're a pundit.
Thank you.
The immediate response is always, well, that was a dumb idea. And then it doesn't even sometimes take 2 years. With Bryzgalov, it didn't even take 2 years for it to actually play out and it be a dumb idea. Like, what are the GMs thinking sometimes when they make these ridiculous deals? The fan response is, what? Why did you do that? And then the fans wind up being right.
Well, because these GMs sometimes they're working for their job. They're in desperation mode. The Flyers, look at Paul Holmgren. Ed Snyder wants to win a cup now. He's not getting any younger. They go out, trade for Bryzgalov's rights, give him that monster contract, which is never a good idea to give to a goalie. And they're going to be paying him probably for who knows how. Was it 14 years or 15 years or whatever it is with that buyout? They're going to be paying him to play somewhere else possibly this season. So these GMs sometimes they just act under desperate times, pressure to win, pressure for their job. Not every GM is in that situation, but in a lot of markets like Philadelphia, they haven't won a cup in almost 30 years. There's plenty of pressure there. So, and they're a team that's obviously been they have plenty of star players. They've been a good team in this past decade or so for a number of years, and they've fallen short many times. And just the pressure he's building, and a guy like Holmgren's been there forever. Eventually time's going to come where Snyder's going to say, I got to clean house and go with someone new. So until then, he's just, in his mind, he's going to try and put out the best team he can within the salary cap, although this whole Danny Cleary business, it's like the Flyers don't exist under a salary cap. They're just bringing everyone into camp. But that's what these GMs do. Sometimes they react out of desperation.
Well,
and obviously they regret it later on, as we've seen with Bryzgalov.
Well, the Dan Cleary thing fell through, so he's not even there anymore.
For now, I'm seeing beat writers saying that according to their roster for tomorrow's camp opening, he's in one of the groups. So
is that like a PTO kind of thing, or is that just not updated?
No, I just before I came on, I saw a couple of beat writers get the roster sheet for the two groups that are going to be on the ice tomorrow, and his name was in there. Paul Holmgren said until he hears otherwise, Dan Cleary expects Cleary to be there. So, they can't officially sign him until the end of the month. Once I believe they have to put Pronger on the long-term injury reserve to get under the cap ceiling, then they could bring him on. But talk about regrettable moves. I mean, bringing Dan Cleary is fine if you need a body up front, but why would you sign him to a 3-year deal? I mean,
With the no trade.
And granted, he's not 35, so it's not going to stay on your cap if he retires, but this is Dan Cleary. You're signing him to a 3-year deal? Who is Paul Holmgren negotiating against? That's what I want to know.
He's looking in that mirror and just facing home Palgren, and it's really weird, and he doesn't know what's happening.
It's the middle of September. Teams have had 2 months to sign Dan Cleary, and no one's wanted to. So why are you giving him a 3-year deal?
Well, you know what? They felt bad for him, and they figured, you know what? It's 3 months. Here's the 3-year deal. We'll put months into years. Ta-da! I'm Paul Holmgren. Thank you.
Double it, multiply by 3.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
What? That's not the face-off hockey show mathematics equation.
That's the Paul Holmgren mathematics.
Exactly. That's why he stole our bit. That son of a bitch, and he will be sued sooner or later. I will not talk about the court case at this time. Another big thing is, of course, PTOs. Hal Gill in Philly. Another guy. If we're going to stay on Philly, let's throw Hal Gill 5-year deal, no trade clause, $35 million. Have fun, kid. Ryan Whitney, which is going to be an interesting situation. Mason Raymond, who was brought in there to Toronto, and then the Kadri signed. But the Ryan Whitney thing is going to be interesting, especially with Alex DiPietro breaking off talks with the St. Louis Blues right now. What is up with that? What are the Blues playing hardball, or is DiPietro just thinking, DiPietro, wow, Peter Angelo just thinking that was a Freudian slip. Is Peter Angelo just thinking, you know what? I want to go Nazem Kadri's route, but I'm going to go even harder core and think I can get more money.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's Alex Pietrangelo. This is a guy who, between he and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, are going to be battling for Norris trophies for years to come. I mean, according to Bob McKenzie, the Blues, they want to lock him up to the max deal, 8 years at $6 million, while Pietrangelo is looking for $7 million if he's going to sign for that many years. So, if that's true, and they're haggling over $1 million, the Blues aren't. Last I checked, the Blues aren't anywhere near the cap ceiling. Let me just double check this real quick, just to make sure I don't sound like an idiot. I mean the Blues are at $57 million right now. The Blues are just under $58 million. They need to get to the cap's floor. So bringing on a guy like Pietrangelo, that kind of money is going to get him there. And this is a guy who's a stud defenseman. He's young. He's just going to keep getting better and better. So if the fact that they're arguing over $1 million, it's kind of silly, but it's going to get done. I mean, you don't really see the vitriol from either side here like we saw with Nazem Kadri over the last week until he signed. So sooner or later, I wouldn't be shocked within the next couple of days that they wrap something up for that 8-year max.
If I know anything about Pietrangelo and money,
and you do.
And I do, it's that he's going to try to get as much as he can, and screw
he
the
will
fans
trade
in the
for
process.
Eric Davis and Glenn Davis, if all possible.
If possible, just to unload some really good talent that would
Albert Bell will come onto this team as a third-line winger if need be.
We'll make that call.
And considering the fact that they just hired Brett Hall as director of fun, I think that this is going to be a great job by the St. Louis Blues, just moving and shaking this year. And not worrying about Yaroslav Halak and what he's going to do this year, and hoping that Jake Allen, even though they can't trust him because he has 2 first names, just hoping for the best for him in all of this.
I mean, look, they locked up. They signed Jay Bouwmeester of all people for like $22 million.
Yes, we know that they're in trouble, Sean. You don't have to compound it.
And they gave him a no trade clause. We're talking about Alex Pietrangelo. Okay, maybe I'm an Alex Pietrangelo fanboy, and that's coming through.
You are. I can see
this kid's a stud.
That little glint in his eye. It's a good thing we're on YouTube.
Mark, it's like Eddie Johnson. Pay the man.
Pay the man. Yes,
pay
right.
me. That's what they should do, because he's definitely earn that money. Earn that paper.
With a name like Pietrangelo, you have an affinity for him just for Frank Pietrangelo. and
Yes.
what he brought to the Stanley Cup teams of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the early
Frank
90s.
Pietrangelo, the Don Larson of the Penguins, where if he never made that save on Claude Lemieux, no one would remember him. Just
Exactly.
as Don Larson, knowing he didn't pitch a perfect game, would people know his name? Maybe, maybe not.
I got a question. Is that Craig Biggio over there as the All-Star picture that's framed up?
That is the one
Chuck Knobloch.
captain of the New York Yankees, Derek Jeter.
Who?
Ah.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him. I think he's a flash in the pan. I will predict this. He will have an ankle injury, and he'll be done for the year. That's just,
That's a pretty good prediction.
It's a
You know what's
Twitter
sad?
prediction.
He and
Future
Mariano
sidekick.
Rivera will never play a game together again. Now that Jeter's out for the year.
Well, thank God for that. But you got A-Rod, so there you go.
Yay!
Woo!
There is that. What else do we have on our docket here? Florida? Oh, John Tavares being named captain of the New York
Ooh.
Islanders. Mika Kiprasov finally retiring after 7 months of speculation. Oh, here's one.
Didn't we talk about that last week? Like Mika Kiprasov has been retiring every week all summer.
Exactly. He's been couch every time this week.
Yeah, and we all know what happens when I vote couch. It's
Exactly.
a very, very, very bad situation. And until I finally say, all right, it's time for Kovalchuk to be over.
Couch is essentially the vote of confidence that Mark gives to any free agent. It's
That's
great.
right. Remember the year that the Kovalchuk saga finally ended was the year that I said he'd finally get off there. The week that I said he'd finally get off the couch.
That was the one time where your speculation actually worked.
Right, because I remember the Islanders definitely didn't make the playoffs a couple of years ago when I said they would.
That was bad. That was
Yeah,
terrible.
that was pretty bad.
Here's one for you kids. The AHL All-Star Game has been a little bit revamped. Apparently, the AHL All-Star Game is going to take over the MLS ideal of things, where the AHL All-Stars will take on Färjestad of the Swedish Elite League for their All-Star Game this year. Thoughts, good, bad, indifferent? And we'll go to our guest, Sean Lake.
I mean, it's interesting because it's new. You know, it's a new idea in hockey, at least. Like you mentioned, the MLS has done this with those top teams for a number of years now. But here's my question: if you're trying to sell tickets to the All-Star Game, granted, I mean, I'm sure they'll sell out, whatever. But after a couple of years, and if you don't get some bigger name teams, I mean, who's on Färjestad? Right? I mean, at least if you're going to a East versus West AHL All-Star Game, you know you guys on both sides. I mean, granted, this is kind of like a novelty, but obviously it works in soccer because those soccer teams that bring over are known worldwide. The players are worldwide stars. Unless the AHL brings over some bigger profile teams with bigger name players that people over here will recognize, I'm not sure how successful this will be in the long term. But, I mean, like I said, it's a new, fresh idea, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes this year for them.
And here's my other issue. The MLS has, 15, 16 teams? I don't know off the top of my head. I'm
18,
just guessing.
now?
18?
87.
18 teams? Okay, so you're pulling talent up to probably, I don't know how many they pull for each side, 20 guys each side, I would imagine, try and fill out, at least 2 starting lineups, try and get everybody out there. So you're talking 40 guys in the MLS from 18 teams if you try to fill out 2 All-Star teams. That's just ridiculous with the amount of All-Stars. But in the AHL, you have 28? 30 teams? 30 teams in the AHL? So you're talking about pulling 26 All-Stars from 30 teams to try and play a team from overseas? I think this is a dumb idea because there are going to be a lot of AHL players that get left off of an all-star roster that are deserving, and a lot of guys are never going to make it to the NHL to get an attempt to play in the NHL All-Star Game. So for a lot of guys, that's going to be their professional hockey experience, and if they have a really good year and miss out because they're playing Halmstad from Sweden or whatever, I don't know, then I mean, I think it's stupid. You're missing out on giving deserving AHL players the recognition that, they might have spent their entire careers trying to get, just because you want to bring in a team nobody knows.
But when there's a lockout in another 8 years and all the top young stars in the AHL are playing the AHL, it's going to be a pretty good game against Jokerit.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. And let's be honest, it's better than the gimmick where they have Canada versus Planet USA. So there's that also.
Then
It
go
also
eat.
doesn't
Like,
make
I don't
sense.
care what it
At
is.
USA?
You need to pull 40 or 52 or however big your All-Star roster is. You pull them from, the same pool of players in hockey. It's dumb. I get it.
I have to say that over the whole thing where the NHL is saying they're bringing the World Cup back and maybe doing a Champions League and all this other crap, the shots were fired by Färjestad's coach Bjorn Bjornsson saying
Did you make that
Birdie,
up? That doesn't sound real.
No, it's real. It's
Totally
legit.
real.
He said, and I quote, I'm looking at the paper here, Birdie Bird et de jour. So I really think that, and when asked who is top player that they're going to defend against, and they said Bork. So Ryan Bork is going to be targeted by Färjestad.
I know,
And
you're talking AHL now, so Chris Bork.
No, Chris
Yes.
Bork's in the KHL again. So
Oh.
So he might be playing for Hajakastad.
they're Swedish, not Afghani. So we're okay there. We've dodged a bullet that way.
Oh, come on.
What?
I see where you're going with that.
I know you did. So there's that. Do you honestly think that an NHL's Champions League is going to be worth its weight and anyone gives a shit? Because I mean, as great as the IIHF tried to make the Champions League for those 2 years, I don't think anyone gave a shit. Does the NHL inclusion into this actually make people care about it?
No, and I mean, like it goes back to the soccer thing. If they want to do this Champions League thing, like Chris Botta tweeted a couple of days ago, it works in soccer because the teams, the players, they're known all over the world. I mean, we know guys that play in France, Sweden, England. We know the big names that are around the world, and they play in the Champions League of soccer, and we know those teams. And they have long history of supporters all over the world, especially in the USA. But if you're going to put like the Capitals or the Penguins in a Champions League against Färjestad and Havalakstad and Joker, I mean, it's cool like to get them in that tournament to see them play against these teams, but still, the bottom line, that the Stanley Cup for a North American fan, the Stanley Cup is going to be the trophy. So if the Penguins or the Capitals win the Victoria Cup or whatever it's called, it's great. But the entire time you're going to be praying that none of your guys get hurt, and it's going to affect the rest of your season for the Stanley Cup. Especially the owners. I mean, what are these owners going to think if they're not big on having their players go to the Olympics and not get paid and risk injury there? What are they going to think about when they're playing these extra games, flying to Europe to play all these extra games during the NHL season?
Yeah, and sorry, Scotty. I mean, really, just building on top of that, and I know I cut you off. I don't know if
That's fine. Go, make your point.
Really, what does the NHL have to gain by this at all? Like at all? Like financially, maybe, but they're traveling.
Global expansion.
No, but everyone around the world knows the NHL, right? Now, the KHL is coming up. Swedish leagues, obviously, people know if you're in Sweden. But all this would do if the NHL signed off on being in a Champions League is give credence to the other divisions, the other leagues. This would essentially be saying our teams and the KHL and Swedish Elite League are sort of on the same level. So we're gonna the better team the fact that the NHL thinks that they're the better league is gonna go over there and play them. And what, God forbid, if they don't win the title, if an NHL team doesn't win the title, now you've definitely given the KHL exactly what they want, which is to say they might be a better league than the NHL. There's no incentive for the NHL to be in this.
Sure, but at the same time, you also want to say, hey, KHL, you might be expanding out to a hell in creation over here in Europe, but we're still a goddamn draw. We're the draw in this whole thing. But I think the thing that's going to stop this is you look at all those European nations. I don't think they play more than 60 games a year in total. The NHL plays 82 just off the top. Boom. Right off the top, 100%. And then you're going to add maybe 5 to 7 games in between that for Champions League. Get the hell out of here with that. They're not going to travel for that. They'll send maybe their minor league affiliate and hope for the best there. But at the same token, the NHL owners aren't going to risk that kind of injury to travel all over the world to face these teams. So as great as an idea as it is, and as great as fans want to make it to be, we all know that once the NHL drops the puck, no one, just like the lockout, no one is going to give a good goddamn about any other league aside from the NHL. Maybe the minors, maybe the AHL, just because of guys coming up. But no one's going to give a shit about the Finnish league, the Swedish league, the KHL, the Estonian league. I don't care about Andorra. I don't give two shits about Egypt, for Christ's sake. It's all about NHL all day, every day. No one's going to get – they're going to drop bombs on Syria, son, and I mean politically. So, honestly, once the NHL puck drops, it's going to be NHL and maybe the top fringe AHL players, and no one's going to give a good goddamn about the European leagues unless they're really hardcore or actually live in Europe.
Or a prospect that's playing there.
From the league perspective, like, I don't like the NHL Premier games at the beginning of the season. I think they should start. All the teams should start over here. If you want to go to Europe, I think that'd be cool to do for a training camp. Go over there for a couple weeks, play. Have some exhibitions against some European teams.
Easy for you to say.
But I mean, for the league, on the league side, it goes back to building a brand. I mean, there's a reason why Manchester United, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, team in the world, travels to Thailand and all these different countries. I think they were in Thailand this summer for their summer tour. I mean, why does Manchester United need to go to Thailand? They're building their brand, selling jerseys, promoting their players. It's all about money and building their money. NHL, they play in the Champions League. They're going to sell more jerseys. If it's a Swedish guy on some team plays against Färjestad, they're going to get a little bit of media buzz around that game because the guy's going back to his hometown, stuff like that. They're going to sell different sponsorships overseas. I actually wrote about this probably right at the start of Puck Daddy when he really started these Premier games that, to me, instead of expanding to Europe and having like a European division part of the NHL, I'd like to see them maybe kind of do their own brand in Europe, like an NHL Europe, sort of like a KHL. Set up your own brand, entice all these top European teams, and just build it as NHL Europe. You could obviously tie in preseason tournaments or whatever with the NHL over here, and go that route. But obviously the NHL, I mean, all these leagues, the NBA, NFL, they all have their eyes on Europe, and within the next 10, 15, 20 years, there's going to be some kind of tie-in with all the four major leagues with teams and franchises over there in Europe.
Unless it's baseball, because I watched a little bit of Finnish baseball, and that shit's crazy, man. It's not even a triangle. They go zigzag.
They're starting their season in Australia next year.
What?
Yeah. The Major League Baseball, not the Finnish League.
Major League Baseball.
Here's the thing. The problem with that is spring training's in like, what, August? Down there in Australia, because they're all flip-flops with the seasons. It's really weird. I don't know what's happening. And they're all criminals down there, so you got to watch your wallets. So I think that's...
Sean, just real quick.
Listening, Scotty. Come on.
Exactly. That's why I do it.
Just real quick, Sean. I agree with you on a lot of those points, but the reason why Manchester United travels is because it's a business first and foremost. So is the NHL. So is owning an NHL team. I get that, but with salary caps and everything that they have in place to make sure that there's parity in the NHL, and that your little, like the Florida Panthers, for instance, have a very, the roster isn't so good this year, but, they have a good chance of possibly winning the title in a couple of years if they do everything right.
No,
Hull City?
No.
My point.
Believe me,
right.
I did the preview today. They don't.
Fair enough. Point being, there is a lot put in place to make sure that everybody in America feels pretty good about their team. In England and overseas, it's all about, if you spend the most money, you get the best players. And the reason why they go around and they promote and they do all this stuff and they take all of their trophy players around the world to show them off is because they spent a dick ton of money on them. I mean, there's billions of dollars in players over there. I mean, it's impossible. If a super team was made here, and in the days that the salary cap, wasn't in place, the Rangers tried to do it, and it didn't work for them. But that's why the English Premier League is traveling around the world, to make up all of that amount of money that they spend on the ridiculous amount of players that they pay. That's just my 2 cents. I don't think it's the same animal.
It's your 10 cents.
Keep money. NHL, the more money the NHL makes, however they do it, Winter Classics, going to Europe, giant All-Star games, 7 outdoor games a season, all that money gets filtered into revenue sharing, split with the teams.
Right.
Obviously, in the end, it goes to the players, and the salary cap goes up. So if the NHL makes more money, everybody benefits.
Right. That's sort of my point. You don't see Norwich City and Hull City traveling to China to play in a game to promote the English Premier League.
Sure.
Like you do send Tampa Bay Lightning over to Sweden to play the New York Rangers or whoever it was at the beginning of last year or 2 years ago or whenever it was, because they are promoting the NHL. They're not promoting themselves like Manchester United and Chelsea do when they go overseas.
Right. But it's all under the NHL umbrella. So in the end, it's the NHL premiere with these 3-4 games. So and believe me, I mean, don't think the NHL hasn't gotten some sponsorships out of going over to these various countries, Helsinki, Stockholm, wherever. I'm sure they've gotten some nice sponsorship dollars out of that for the league, on the league side. Obviously, these teams, maybe they've picked up some sponsors, but they're selling more jerseys. And in the end, all that money comes back to the league, comes back to the team. So it's just a joint effort. I mean, the whole city's not going to Thailand, obviously. Manchester City is, Manchester United is. Maybe they have a player on the team. I know they used to go to Asia when they had Ji-Sung Park on the roster to obviously get the jersey sales and things like that. So it's in the end, it comes down to money. And so they're going to go wherever the money is, expand that brand. And they can only do so much here in North America. So obviously, the European market, they feel, is still a bit untapped.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now we dissed Australia. I dissed Australia. I will go and say that. So what we'll do is we'll bring up one of the big things out of Caps rookie camp, Nathan Walker. He got an invite last year. He got an invite this year. He played USHL this past season in the 2013-14 after spending some time in the Czech Republic. Is this the time for Australian hockey in at least the Capitals organization, or anyone's organization? This kid's obviously the real deal because he has played at a top level in the Czech League. He has played in the USHL, getting adjusted to that game. Is this a story that we should be watching regardless of whether he makes the main squad or not?
Sure. I mean, like you mentioned, he got invited last year, so obviously the kid has some talent. To get invited to an NHL team training camp for a second straight year, so that's something. I mean, just, you guys go to the draft, and you look at the birthplaces of these kids now, compared to 10 years ago. There's so many different places from around the world, around the U.S., and just non-traditional hockey markets, whether it be Florida, California, Las Vegas, and non-traditional countries like Australia. I mean, the game's growing. There's leagues all over the place. I mean, the IIHF puts out a yearly post, I think they put out last week, of just all the different champions of, I believe it's 54, 55 countries around the world. And I mean, there's leagues in Mongolia, Ukraine, just all these countries that you wouldn't think have hockey programs, and they do. So, I mean, the game's growing. There's more resources available. It's the game, like I said, the game's getting bigger. So eventually we're just going to, the melting pot of the National Hockey League and hockey around the world is just going to keep growing, and we're going to have more guys from Australia, more guys from different countries that 10, 15 years ago we never thought would have made it this far.
And if you read Dave Bedini's Tropic of Hockey, you would realize Mongolia had leagues years ago, but not as well. I mean, let's be honest, it's invented up, and they got rid of those ramps, which I think Pro Beach Hockey lent to them, and now, alas, they have all gone by the wayside.
At least with an option to buy, I think.
That's true.
And you mentioned Jamaica before. I spoke with Will Reed, I believe it was last year, 2 years ago. He's working with a group in Jamaica to get a hockey program started there. And their goal, I mean, it's a long shot, obviously, but by 2018, they want to have a team in the Olympics for hockey, which obviously will be made up of players with Jamaican heritage. That it's possible. I mean, 4 or 5 years from now, who knows where Jamaica might be as a hockey country. Maybe they may not be to Olympic level yet, but if they have a competitive team and they're playing the various tiers of the World Championships with the WHF, eventually they'll get to that point where they're competing for a spot at the Division I Championships or even the Olympic Games.
All right. Well, I mean, there you go, Sasky. We talked Nathan Walker. Get off our back now. Enough of this. Tired of this. Real quick, Sean, before we let you go, story of the summer for you over all this thing as we start training camp. What was the big story over this long, drawn-out, literally 2 months of off season that we had?
Dan Cleary watch.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a late contender.
Oh, I have a prediction. I vote couch for this week.
Look at you go.
I think the big story was just how boring the summer was. I think you talked about it in the beginning, Scott. It's funny because this was a very short summer with the lockout. Everything got pushed back. But really, after July 6th, 7th, 8th, things just died off because the salary cap went down. Teams just didn't have the room to bring on guys, to sign extra guys, and teams were just not adding salary. And it's a perfect bookend that as training camp's starting, the biggest news is where the hell Dan freaking Cleary is going to sign. I mean, there's tweets after tweets and news stories. Is he going to go to Dallas? Is he going to go to Philadelphia? Is he going to Detroit? Who cares? It's Dan Cleary.
I know. I turn on ESPN to try and get some football coverage, and all I see is Dan Cleary. It's ridiculous.
By the way, when did Max Kellerman get hired back? When did that happen?
I don't know.
He's on Sports Nation, the worst show in the world.
I don't. Is that the one with Colin Cowherd and Skip Bayless? That's one's pretty bad.
No,
too.
that's called Dumb and Dumberer. It's a weird new show. I didn't know how that came into existence, so there's that. All right.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for NHL Network to come back and have On the Fly, On the Regular, and top 10 power forwards of 1998-99 on a loop the rest of the time.
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
But
Yes.
you're missing the greatest thing in the world, Mr. Leahy. How dare you?
The oil change?
Oil change?
No. Close. Wax vac. If you don't have your wax vac,
yes.
and today while I was sitting at Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, 138 Sierra Springs Drive in Airdrie, Alberta, we saw ourselves for the Zoomies, which is basically a pair of sunglasses which double as binoculars.
Wow.
Zoomies versus Waxback. Who you got?
As opposed to the Zoomies, which are glasses but also an iPod, an MP3 player.
It's the weirdest thing. It's Oakley made it. I don't know how they did this. They're like, you know what? MP3 players are played out. We're going to put binoculars on our screen, son.
You joke about that, but John actually has a pair of sunglasses that have MP3 player in them.
Yeah, I know.
I wear them when I go running.
Dog the Bounty Hunter has them, so
Yeah,
they're not
fantastic.
a big deal.
You shut your mouth about the thumps. They're good.
All I know is that I don't get NHL Network when the season's on. I get it because it comes with center ice. For the last, I guess it's been 4 or 5 months since it's been on. I've been sticking Q-tips so far in my ear that I don't know what to do. I wish there was a product out there that helps solve that problem.
There's gotta be an easier way!
I don't know. In my 32 years of life, I've never shoved a Q-tip so far in my ear that I scream like that guy in the commercial. I don't know what he's doing, how he was raised. Was he raised by wolves?
What is he digging for?
Yeah, what's he digging for? Just wax.
Yeah.
Maybe
Go easy, man.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. He doesn't have good depth perception. That's why he bought the Zoomies. So he's got the Zoomies. He needs something for his ears, so he's going to get the wax back. So essentially, he is the mascot for the NHL Network.
Boom.
Ipso facto. It's done. It's done. Forget about it.
The MLB playoffs had Frank TV a couple years ago, and Fox's Frank Caliendo doing those impersonations. NHL Network on the Fly is going to have that guy as like the guest analysis during games next to Kevin Weeks.
Well, they're just as personality-wise. I think the guy.
How bad was that Jay Feaster trade? I give it 5 hours. Ow!
I will keep jamming this Q-tip in my ear. That's how bad it was. What they'll do is just inches in his ear. What they'll do, which is also a weird fetish porn that I picked up the other day.
Yeah, it sounds like a ska band.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time.
It's a great time. Good time. It's fun for the whole family too. Let's be honest. All right, Sean Leahy, Puck Daddy. Thank you, bud, for coming on once again. And
always fun.
We will have you on as much as possible because we have no other options. Wait, what? We do have options. Oh, okay.
You can just bring Greg back next week. We just keep rotate the Puck Daddy crew every other week.
No, here's the thing with Mr. Wyshynski, and he's a busy man now. He's
Hollywood now.
He's going to start that Merrick versus Wyshynski thing, and we're not going to hear about him until the draft. And honestly, he's done for the year. Done for the year. Other podcasts.
He's a big time. He's a big time. But you guys could always count on me.
All right.
What?
I'll
be here without pants on.
And I like the fact that
always.
that next time you're on the air, we're going to have to actually switch the boys. What we're gonna have to do next time we have you on, Sean, we're gonna have to have both Patanzos in the same house to play which Patanzo is it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both gonna be wearing masks, and that way you can't tell. And then we all have a good laugh.
Oh, can't wait. I can't. It's my favorite home game. I love the home game. Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you sometimes sit? No, never mind. I won't.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask if he sometimes sits on Facebook and compares pictures and tests and studies. Did you cram before you came on? Just just looking at Facebook pictures?
Did you ever see that website, Henrik or Daniel, where it's pictures of the Sedines and you got to guess which one's which? I made a site with Mark and John and Giuseppe, and my latest score was 30%, so I got to go back and do my homework. So.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I think passing, we like to give, it's easy. It's a C grade is passing. So if you get a 70 to 75, I think you'll be good.
I'm always torn. I always get messed up because Giuseppe has the Wario mustache, so it always throws me off a little bit.
I don't know, I hope you can see this. This is going to confuse the shit out of you because that's... Is
that Johnny with a beard?
That is Francesco Patanzo. That is Papa Patanzo.
Wow.
Right?
That is totally your dad. You guys are definitely not adopted, that's for sure.
I know, right? That is Francesco Patanzo at 42 years old right there.
Wow.
Looks just like John and just like
totally.
me. It's very weird.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty good. I hope he's not added to the game. Do I got to memorize that face too now?
Yep.
When in doubt, go Francesco. That's what I always say.
So many Patanzos. It's like you guys are Irish Catholic or something. Jeez.
Good shit. Thank you, Mr. Leahy. We will talk to you, I'm sure, very soon. And all the best, bud. We'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Yes,
boys.
sir.
Have a good one. Say hi to Lyle for me. I miss his mustache.
Absolutely. That's really weird. Really weird and awkward.
We'll let him know.
We'll let him know. There goes Sean Leahy. He's from Yahoo's Puck Daddy, and good times there. Anything to digest from him that you didn't get to put out there, Mr. Patanzo?
Well, I think I need to retouch on something. I didn't mean to assault his point about the NHL traveling to Europe.
You really should have.
But I really just think it's a terrible idea for the NHL to go to Europe, other than if they just go to play a regular season game there to their game. If they go there to try and play in any real competition, it is a terrible idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's something where it's to expand the brand, and if they expand the brand, then they're fine. But if they don't expand the brand, then we're up shit's creek at this point.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know. I won't go into it again, but hopefully the invite is getting out to Lyle. But I mean, God forbid they lose this tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he the only one that doesn't understand the actual idea of the fucking? How does he not get the invite? How is his the only one not to get an invite?
I think it's like when we're like an hour into it, it doesn't work very well. So are you sending it? Just send it. Yeah. Okay.
And you can see we're a little bit on delay there. So there's that.
Yeah, it's whenever we invite someone, it always delays a little bit. It's like I'm sure it's my computer because it's so slow and old, and I need to reinstall Windows or something. I don't know, or get a new one.
Yeah, exactly. And you said you were going to throw it out the window. So there he is. Look, he is. It's looky here. It's Lyle Richardson from SpectreHockey.net. Hi, Lyle.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Well, I got to turn myself down. You're a little loud there, sir. You're a little boisterous. You got training camp fever.
Training camp fever. Catch it.
Exactly. Catch it.
Well, Mark's obviously caught something. Holy cow, man. CK in the USA there, brother.
I'm ashamed, Mark, that you didn't get the Maryland glasses they gave out this weekend.
I wasn't at that game, but I'm guarantee you that there's plenty of them on eBay right now that I could go buy.
I bet, and honestly, you can go to Route 1 Apparel and they will give you the same damn thing because I think they were the ones who supplied them. But anyway,
pay $25 each pair.
But hey, guess what? You can buy a Maryland tie while you're at it. So there's that. All right. So Lyle, how are you doing, bud? You got the training camp, you got PTOs, you got signings, you got everything. Now you're back in business.
It's real news, kids. Real news at long last. Yes. Yes, lots to talk about. And I noticed that you covered a lot of stuff already with Sean. I hope you left enough on the docket to chat with me.
Well, La, we're just going to rehash it with you because we're
All
not
right.
original.
Redundancy is our middle name.
Exactly. Actually, it's Edward, but there's that. But no, I think the one big thing that we didn't cop to with Mr. Leahy is the Nazem Kadri signing. 2 years, $5.8 million. I talked about it off the top, didn't really into it. But obviously, this is what the Maple Leafs wanted. This is the bridge deal they wanted. And Kadri, for all his big talk, he folded like a cheap card table in the end.
He folded like a folding chair, which Stone Cold Steve Austin then used to open up a can of whoop ass all over Kadri's agent. There you go. There you go. But I mean, honestly, what option did he have? I mean, he again, I've said it repeatedly on my site, on my hockey news column. I've said it repeatedly here. The guy had no leverage. Absolutely no leverage. You're coming out of a lockout-shortened season where, you had 44 points in 48 games, but you had only had 5 in your last 19, and that included the playoffs where you did an amazing impersonation of the Invisible Man. So you had nothing. You had no leverage. Coming off an entry-level contract with no arbitration rights. You can do stage a holdout, whoop-de-doo. Dave Nonis is more than content to wait you out. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it was wise of him to, I don't know if he heard the advice of Logan Couture of your San Jose Sharks, but where he told him, you know what, take the bridge deal, go out, prove yourself, and then you'll get your big money contract, and then you can make them pay. Just like P.K. Subban's going to make the Montreal Canadiens pay for their playing hardball with him last season. Oh, sure, in the short term, they got themselves a nice cap-friendly deal. Yeah, yep. Next summer, when it's $8 million a pop or more, between $8 and $8.5 million per season on an 8-year deal, which is what he'll be seeking, which he'll get from the Habs, because if he doesn't get it from the Habs, there'll be another team out there. Hello, Philadelphia Flyers. We'll be more than happy to send him an offer sheet for that much and say, go ahead, Habs, match it, we dare you. So, hey, for Kadri, it's the same sort of thing. Go out, prove yourself. I mean, let's face it, if the kid goes out in the next couple of years and just shoots out the lights, I mean, yeah, he's going to get the big money offer, the big money deal that he wants, and the Leafs will be happy to pay him for it. There's no way he's going to be just floated away. They'll be more than happy to open the vault for him. The salary cap in 2 years' time will probably be up to about $75 million anyway. So, more than enough coin to re-sign him.
And the funny thing is, I think Sportsnet.ca had a thing about the guys who actually had a bridge deal, and then after they proved themselves, got the big deal. Couture, one of them, Duchesne, another one, and Subban, another one after that. So I mean, Kadri fell off really quick late last season, and
yep.
I think that's the big point of contention Dave Nonis had. And you know what? Maybe this is motivation for Kadri. Maybe this is actually just showing Dave Nonis, and that's Dave Nonis was right in not giving him the long-term deal, and I think that's the good thing about this whole thing is that now we can actually see what Kadri is made of in an 82-game season rather than just a little 48 dinky haberdasher. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying old-timey words until I get to my point.
He's going to the haberdashery, get the old Victrola, and then he's going to hop in the jalopy and swing down for sarsaparilla. Yeah, there
I
you go.
tell you what, Well, we're going to have a rigmarole here tonight. We're going to have a rigmarole. We're going to have a whole patty. Until we get Nathan Kadri that deal. So, yeah, I mean, that's the exciting part about these Ridge deals. It's not like where we're doing a Cody Franzen gimmick, giving him 6 years because we have to get to the floor. No, we are at the cap, and we're going to have to give him a nice little just under $3 million kind of deal.
Yeah, but at the same token, too, how do you think the Derek Stepan camp feels right about now? Because Derek Stepan of the New York Rangers, he's coming off just like Kadri, coming off an entry-level deal, but a much better player than Nazem Kadri. Much better numbers, continues to improve each season, to become an integral part of the New York Rangers, and yet, because the Rangers also have some cap issues, guess what? Stepan turns around and looks and sees Cody Hodgson getting a 6-year deal for $4.5 around $4.5 million a season, and meanwhile he's being stuck getting this bridge offer comparable to pretty much what Kadri signed with the Leafs. So
here's what the Stepan camp is doing. All right, so Kadri got 5.8. So we got to revamp what Cody Hodgson got. Kadri got. We got. They're just throwing their papers up in the air. They don't know what to do. They're so confused, and Dolan doesn't know what he's doing with his life, and Glenn Sather's just sitting there biting on a cigar. Mark Messier's riding a Zamboni because he didn't get the GM or head coach. Everyone's confused.
Don't forget, also eating wavy lays.
Wavy lays.
Wavy lays as he runs down the hall in his skates, snickering, which is still just classic. Just watching it go yee, and then just running down the hall. That was cool. But anyway, the goofy side of Mark Messier when he wasn't blindsiding Mike Modano, and anyway. But regardless, hey, ding. Who keeps ringing that bell? I can't concentrate. But anyway, but the problem though for Stepan is that but the Rangers. They don't have much cap space. They only got about $3 million in cap space. They're offering that's the big reason why they're offering him more. But at the same time, here's an additional problem. It's got to be kind of difficult for the Stepan camp to accept this idea of a bridge offer. Bad enough that you look around and you see a kid like Cody Hodgson getting all that money, but of course, as you pointed out, Scotty, he's getting that because the Sabres had to get to the floor. But you turn around and you guys see a guy on your own team, a teammate, Ryan McDonagh, getting a long-term deal worth over $4 million a season, and here you are just as valuable to that team, and you're just being told, no, here, take the bridge deal and choke on it, But I mean, not very well handled, I think, by the Rangers.
Not very well handled, but at the same time, you almost have to look at the whole idea that centers could be a dime a dozen. Or at least forwards in general could be a dime a dozen. Whereas a guy like McDonagh, who is on the back end, he could be a rarity in this situation where you have a stay-at-home defenseman who is very all about blocking shots, giving up his body and stuff like that. So I think that the mindset there is if we have him as a cornerstone for a long term, we can build around him. Whereas Stefan it is almost to an extent, well, if he's not going to sign for this, we got another guy in this pipeline that's going to
But I disagree with that. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Scotty. Sorry, but the point is that, yes, I dig what you're saying with McDonagh, obviously given his value as a defenseman. But Stepan led your team offensively last season. He was your best forward. He's been steadily improving each season that he's joined the club. Okay, this isn't just a guy. I don't think Stepan is a guy. In fact, I consider him one of the most underrated players in the league. He kind of gets overshadowed because he plays plays for the Rangers. It's where you got Lundqvist and Brad Richards and Rick Nash and blah blah blah, and his performance gets overshadowed. Now, it's like I said, I mean, I just think that I know that the Rangers are limited with cap space right now at this point, which is why they want to go the bridge deal with him. But you could have done something better. If you had to dump a salary to do it, you should have done it because, you're sticking the thumb in this guy's eye right now. Obviously, now Stepan isn't going to hold out. I don't think he's going to stage a holdout that goes into the season. Ultimately, he's just going to, accept it and sign the 2-year deal. But that creates a nasty situation, potentially nasty situation going forward because now you've got a player who's thinking that he's underappreciated. Okay? He gets his 2-year deal. Yeah, he's a restricted free agent again in 2 years' time. That he can just turn around and say, well, we'll just hold out and see what the market gives us, and along comes, an offer sheet. And perhaps the Rangers at that point are stuck with limited cap space again because, of course, they're going to open the ball for Henrik Lundqvist before next summer. That's a given.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's not a very good situation. I don't like the way that they handled this at all. I mean, I understand why they signed up McDonagh the way they did. I thought that it was a good idea signing Hagelin for a 2-year bridge deal. I totally agreed with that. But Stepan's one of your best forwards. You don't do that to him. If you've got to move out another player to free up the cap space to give him a fair deal, you do it.
You find a way, obviously.
Yeah, and
this is the Rangers we're talking about too.
Yeah. So but the thing is Sather doesn't dance on the head of a pin nearly as well as Paul Holmgren does.
He's signing people to deals that he can't afford. So there's
yeah.
Hashtag Dan Cleary.
Yeah, that's a very interesting situation, isn't it? You guys were talking about the Cleary Watch, Cleary Watch 2013.
Well, we're going couch apparently for all of this.
Going couch, yes.
Go couch.
Damn you! I was gonna call couch. Damn you, Mark. Damn you.
We can both go couch. It's just as soon as I
there's
want the
always room on the
situation to
couch.
be over. Yeah, as soon as I want it to be over, I'll get him off the couch.
There you go.
I have the power.
Plenty of room on the couch, indeed,
He-Man
sir.
style.
Yeah. By the power of Grayskull. I had the power. Now I gotta say it in 5-year-old Mark voice. By the power of Grayskull, I had the power.
Tremendous.
Meanwhile, 20-year-old Lyle is looking at you going, shut up, I'm trying to watch my cartoons.
Yeah, and 9-year-old Mark was listening to CNC Music Factory saying, Thank you.
dance now.
It's nice.
And 27-year-old Lyle was in the club dancing to that too.
I can't see you dancing. I can see you doing this with just drinking and just bobbing your head. Going
No, that's what 50-year-old Lyle does now, because 50-year-old Lyle can't dance anymore. 27-year-old Lyle used to dance pretty good.
You
That's
could
how my
cut
wife
her
and
off.
I met. It's on the dance floor. So
Wow,
Okay.
interesting.
there you go.
Well, I mean, the jitterbug was a big.
I'm telling you, that was back in the days of Glenn Middle. Let me tell you, that kid could play. He could swing. Let me tell you.
That's Scott Joplin. He's pretty good for a. Anyway.
Whoa! Not that old, son.
What?
Come on now.
What?
Not ragtime music here. Come on.
Well, hey, it's all right.
Gotcha.
Boy, howdy. Let's talk about something more as absurd as ragtime music. Tim Thomas, Ilya Bryzgalov, and the Florida Panthers. There's we've heard the wrestling term burying someone, and that's putting someone under that is very popular, but at the same time, you don't want them to be as popular. And then there's Jacob Markstrom, who is just getting demolished by the Panthers organization. Is there something that they're seeing that no one else is seeing? That this kid is just not worthy of even getting a sniff of a starting position if they're bringing in if they're even thinking of bringing in Tim Thomas and Ilya Bryzgalov.
No. Markstrom is their starter. The reason why they're looking at bringing they're inviting these guys to camp is Scott Clemenson underwent arthroscopic knee surgery last week. He's out 3 to 4 weeks. This is pretty much just for preseason right now. Okay, what they're doing is, they're gonna, and it's only natural. I mean, these guys are available, so you throw the training camp invite out there, see if any of them bite. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to keep them. I mean, these guys are going to be playing to try and get a contract, but doesn't necessarily have to be with the Panthers. If they play well, another club that could be looking for goaltending, Calgary Flames, they might take a look and go, geez, Thomas played pretty good there for them, for the Panther, or Bryzgalov, or even Theodore. They asked Theodore, by the way, but apparently he rejected it because he's still looking for a contract. Apparently he still had 2 or 3 teams that were talking to him. One of them could be Calgary.
But I have to say the Joey McDonald revolution is just in full effect here in Calgary. So we're up Joey Mack.
Well, I'll tell you though, Joey Mack. I mean, he's from my neck of the woods down here. I mean, everybody's pulling for him. I mean, listen, he's carved out a good career as a backup. I don't know if he's starter material, but what the hell,
But that's what you just said right there. As a backup.
As a backup,
he is
yes.
He is a guy who is a serviceable backup.
Absolutely.
A serviceable top guy in the minor leagues. I don't think, aside from some spurts like you saw with the New York Islanders or the Toronto Maple Leafs, he can hold down a starting position for more than 40 games.
No, I don't know that. I mean, no disrespect to Joey, but just as I said, we're pulling for him down here. But the fact of the matter is I've yet to see anything from him in his NHL career where that would give any indication that he's more than just a quality backup. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a quality backup in the NHL. You get 15 to 25 games. Hey, good on you. But geez, I just can't see him being 40, 45 game player for the Flames. I mean, I know it's a rebuilding season, but by the same token too, I mean, you want to be competitive as well. So, yeah. But hey, I mean, if your goal is we want that first overall pick or as close to it as possible to be in contention in the lottery for the first overall pick, then your tandem of McDonald, Ramo, and who's the other one?
Reto Berra.
Yeah, then that's the tandem you go with, and Godspeed.
I do have to say this, Lyle. It's not so much as a rebuilding year as it is an expansion year. So the expansion Calgary Flames.
Your expansion Calgary Flames. But I mean,
hey, their number one expansion pick was Alex Tanguay. So
actually, their number one expansion pick was Brian Burke.
Which was I think that was I think that was a very good move by them.
We gave the over under at 12 months whether or not Brian Burke's going to be GM or not. Lyle, you're going to take the over or the under?
I'm going to take the over.
Oh.
Yeah. I think he and Feaster can work together, and I'm going to take the man at his word at face value. I mean, say what you will, you can say many things about Brian Burke, but the one we always said it, he is a man of his word. When he says something, he speaks his mind, and when he says what his situation or his job is or whatever, that's it. He says he's going to be more in background. He's not getting involved in the day-to-day. He's not going to be looking over at Jay Feaster's shoulder, questioning every move. There are some things, obviously, that he's going to have to go to Burke with before they can go to ownership, and if they're looking at a significant acquisition or something like that, or a major signing. But otherwise, he's just hands off and letting Feaster do his thing. I mean, if Feaster gets fired, it's going to be ownership that's going to fire him. I don't think Burke's going to have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I mean that whole scene was just very bizarre on Thursday.
Bringing
up John Bean as the first focal point, and then having him sit at the table where just all awkwardness just prevailed, and he's just sitting. No one had a question for him. Yeah. I mean, let's throw the kid a softball. How does it feel to be COO now and don't have to worry about finances and go? And that's the question you have to ask him. And you get back. Listen, Brian, I know you're trying to coup and take this whole thing over, but how can you give us a time frame here so we know when to write these stories?
But listen, as much as the media claims that they have they don't like Brian Burke, listen, they love him. He's good copy. He's always good for a quote. They love this guy. So of course he's going to suck all the oxygen out of the room. But that's because the media is making him do that.
Yeah, but he said, "Oh, you guys come to me," and then I mean, this stupid Eric Francis brought to the point in between Ticket Blitz Thursdays where he was giving out heart tickets for the Glenbow Casino. In between that, he said, Brian Burke's also a guy who will he will call up media guys and get his point across. So I mean, I don't put that past Burke, but at the same time, maybe he's found a different light. Maybe he's realized his whole thing is scouting and advisor for the Maple Leafs last year. He likes a slower pace of life.
Well, listen, I like the situation where he's at right now. I think this is, it's a step up from scouting. He's, a more hands-on position, but at the same token, I mean, he doesn't have to get involved in the day-to-day. And I really think at this point right now, this is where he wants to be. I mean, if Flames ownership down the road, if they decide they want to move Jay Feaster and put Burke in there, well, fine. I mean, obviously, I don't see him objecting to it, but I don't believe that he's, going to be in there actively trying to stick shivs between Jay Feaster's ample shoulder blades.
Well, let's hope not. But no, actually, let's hope so. Because if that were to happen, the fact of the matter is even better for Calgary and get the attention off the ice, which I honestly think that I could go for a tryout and maybe make the Abbotsford Heat. I'm not really sure about that.
Now we're talking about the Flames. On a sort of serious note, since we're talking about the Flames, do you think the whole flooding and renovation or whatever they did to improve after the flood, do you think that's going to have any effect on anything this year? Like, did they improve something that needed to be improved, or did they just try to fix it to get it back to the way it was?
Well, you don't want to do too many improvements because the ownership is stumping to get a new arena built. Okay?
Yeah.
Preferably one away from the Bow River. No. But, yes, that low ground.
The river runs through us.
No. Yes.
I think they just did enough to bring it up to code.
Yeah.
Now they're fine.
No, well, I mean, obviously you're bringing it, getting it back to at least where it's going to be enough to attract fans. You want the fans to come back, go, geez, wow, the place looks great. Okay, yeah, let's go watch the game. I think that they're more focused though too on getting a new arena built. Obviously in the downtown, but obviously up and away from the floodplain. And just on another note for the Flames, though, too, I mean, I did read an interesting a blog today from a Flames blogger on the Flames blog, Matchsticks and Gasoline, by the way. Yes, it actually exists on SB Nation, but it's
hashtag SB Nation, yeah.
Yeah, but it is, like I said, they're a pretty good source for Flames blogs and all that good stuff. And one of them made the point today. His name eludes me at the moment. I believe it was just a nickname, but anyway, that this season actually would be better than last season because yes, it's in the middle. You're in the middle of rebuilding. You're starting from ground zero, but you're not going through that agony that they went through last year, knowing Jerome McGinley was leaving, knowing that it was Mika Kiprusoff's final season. Just it was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal, and all that uncertainty. At least now, they're saying we know they're not going to make the playoffs. Nobody has any illusions about that in Calgary. It's like we know this is the first year of a rebuilding year. The expectations are way low, whereas last year it was still kind of sort of, well, maybe we could still make it because, at mid-season there, they were still flirting with 8th overall, and that's why they went out and tried to get Ryan O'Reilly because they thought that, if they could sign him, put him on the line with Jerome McGinley, it would give them that shot, of making the playoffs. And then it fell through, and then their season fell through, and Jerome left, and that was the end of that. So, when you look at it in those terms, I mean, I suppose it's making the best of a bad situation, but it is a good point. You're not going through that agony of are we going to make the playoffs, and if we're not, oh God, is Jerome leaving, and are we going to get anything decent back, and is Mika going to retire? And now Jerome's gone, Mika's retired, you have no hope of making the playoffs. Relax and enjoy the ride. The pressure's off, kids.
But keep buying those tickets.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm going to put this out here. I'm going to be that guy.
Be that guy.
Last year, we're going to put this in the big the fat little notebook, because the fat little notebook is the gambler in all of this.
Gambler.
The 2012-13 Calgary Flames won 19 games.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to prorate that, we'll say about 33 in a regular season. Am I maybe?
That sounds good. I would ballpark it. I'd ballpark it at 33. I'll say 33.
Right. So we will place the ballpark estimate at 33.
And
over under 33
and a third. 33 and a third.
33 and a half for betting purposes and entertainment purpose only. Over under 33 and a half wins for the Calgary Flames this season. And we will start off with the one, the only, Lyle Richardson.
Oh, I'm taking under, definitely.
Damn you. All right, well, I'm going under too. So Scotty, do you want to move the line?
How far? Yeah. Are you going to go over or under? Or if we're all going to go under, then we got to set a line here.
Yeah,
How far under?
I would have said under 30 easily. Probably 20. Probably 28.
All right, we'll set a line. We'll set a line definitely because I am going very under.
Let's. How about we all write a number down and we take the average of that. Does that sound good?
All right.
If you got some pen and paper, I'm gonna.
I have pen and paper.
All right, so we're all gonna write a number down.
Right.
And then we'll take the average of that, and then that'll be the over/under, and then whatever you wrote will either be over or under that. So.
If you could read my mind. I wish I had my marker. Okay.
I am putting that number up there for you kids to all see.
Okay.
24. 26.
Okay. Can you see that?
25.
25.
All right.
Damn
it. Shit. All right. So what we'll do?
So well.
No. Here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
We're gonna take the Flames wins. So over under Flames wins. I don't know. What do you want to put? Mark, you're a little bit better than me at this whole
setting
line.
a line?
And over under. You are the bookie of this whole.
All right. Well, fine. Well, let me do some math here.
Go do some math.
Let's see. Brian Burke probably adds another 2 wins.
Add to Brian Burke.
But Joey McDonald is a number 1 goalie.
Yeah, that subtracts and takes those 2 wins away and then some. So
yeah, and don't forget the elimination of the very underappreciated and underrated J-Bo factor as well.
All right, so that increases the wins by 7.
Wrong.
So what?
This is
okay.
Yeah, I'll set it at 25.5. That's what I'm.
25.5 is what we will set the line at for over/under on Flames wins, and I will go ahead and actually I'm going to mark these all down because
Okay.
we are a whole cohesive unit, and as I write these down, I am stalling by keep talking. People. Lyle, you said it at 25, over under 25.5.
I'm going to go over.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, here we go.
I will take over.
Mark with a C.
I said it at 25.5. I said 26, but when you reiterated that Joey McDonald was going to be the starting goalie, I'm going to go under. It's under 25, which is a terrible win percentage, by the way, and it
Yeah.
would almost be unprecedented in the NHL. But it is twice as many wins as the Capitals got in their first season.
74, 75. Yeah.
Yeah. Lyle picked the over. Mark picked the under. I am going to have to go with pessimistic pride of the Calgary Flames, and of course, being a Calgarian, living here for 9 years now, living and dying with the media and the team, I am going way under, and I am sticking with 19 wins for the Calgary Flames.
Wow. Oy
Put
vey.
In pencil, because I'm sure that'll be raced sooner rather than later, but I will put that in parentheses at 19 games.
Just to be clear, that's not exactly how over-unders work.
No.
I don't care.
But I like
But
how
I am
you-
going super
Yes.
under.
I
like
like
how
where you're going with this.
I
Yes.
like how you're trying to win the $1,000 right off the bat by guessing the price. You just guess the price right off the top.
Boom!
You get
Right
that
off the top.
You get that $1,000 cash.
So here we go, kids. It's in the fat little notebook. The over-under has us as Lyle with the over, Mark with the under. I'm with the under at 19.
Okay, can I specify how
Please
how far
specify,
over?
sir.
27.
All right, 27. Mark, you want to put an under on yours?
23.
Okay.
23.
And you're going to the way off the charts with 19.
I am going the fact that Kari Ramo and Joey McDonald will not get 10 wins between the two. Well, they get 10 wins between. Actually, you know what? No, they will not get 10 wins between the two, and Reto Barrow will be the standout goaltender in all of this.
There you go.
Reto
Barrow.
That sounds like an awesome 1930s
Because
baseball.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Reto Barrow said that the game is 90% mental and 85% perspiration. Like, that doesn't add up. First off, you screwed up the quote. Second off, you're supposed to be neutral because you're Switzerland. And I don't know what's going on here. We barely understood that.
But he also thinks hope is a wonderful thing. Maybe one of the best things.
Hope floats.
But
Yes.
here's the thing. He also said, you know what? But then hope died. We have no hope, no cash, and it was really weird. And we're like, wait, that was two jokes. We did that joke last week, Scotty, and we're gonna do it again. Because why not?
And okay, and the winner, the other two have to buy the round, whoever
In
wins
Philly.
it gets in Philly buys the winner.
Scotty, set an alarm on some sort of device
Yes.
that you have, or like a Google Calendar to remind us to look at the
Yeah.
September 11th show to go back for the
Yeah.
Calgary Flames bet.
So
I will
we
put
turn
this
around
in-
and see
I will
whoever
put this
got
in
the
the
closest.
show.
Whoever got the closest.
Yes.
If not, bang on. Yeah. you watch. They'll win 10 games, and Scotty wins running away. But
We're in it, and we go to the Lucha Cartel in Philadelphia, which is a Mexican restaurant that has a lot of the luchadors in it.
Ole!
They're left away, so we're good to
There
go.
we go. Yeah.
Dos
So
a zero.
That's in the fat little notebook, and fat little notebook, word is bond. Much like all the brothers say. I don't know what the brothers are, who the brothers are, but they say it, and I have to
The
live
Brothers Karamazov. I thought that was the book. Did I pronounce that right? Probably not. I've got
I
Russian
don't
people
read.
mad at me now.
I
Anyway.
I read comic book. I read treasuries of comics. It's really weird.
Oh, the treasuries. I remember those in there as a kid.
I like
The classic comics. The classic comic book version.
This is what I'm reading right now. Pearls freak the fuck out. Pearls Before Swine Treasury. So there's that
There you
going
go.
for you as well. Shout out Stephen Pastis. Alex Petrangelo. What the hell? That's the question. That's the question.
What the
that I
hell?
have
And the answer is damned if I know. Yeah. Oh well, and we just scared Mark away. Oh well.
It's
There you go.
no,
Oh yeah, no.
he's sweetie. He's a sweetie.
What's he doing? Going to show?
Oh, he's getting the bottle. He's hitting the bottle.
Oh.
He's hitting the bottle this late. It's really weird.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, let me see
what
what
the-
you're
what-
saying. Let me see what you're saying.
It's not.
Oh,
it's not anything
there we go.
fancy. The Macallan 10.
No, hey! Now. Do not be running the good stuff down. Ooh, getting a little low there, my son.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. There's some other bottles up there that you can't see. That.
Yeah. I just finished.
There's my stash up there.
Ah, there you
next
go.
to the Washington Capitals.
I just polished off the last of a lovely bottle of Oban.
Nice.
12-year-old that my beloved wife brought back from Salem, Massachusetts for me this summer. It kills me. You Americans don't spend half as much on good scotch as we do here in Canada. It's not fair.
Yeah, I just bought a 14-year Glengarry for I believe $55.
I hate
maybe
you.
it was 16.
I hate
It might even be I think it might even be a 16-year.
I really hate you. You know, a good old band up here runs $110, and Tina got it for $50 down in Massachusetts.
Yep, that'll do. That's why I
was at Mr. Mike's, drank Bighorn Lager all day every day, son.
There you go.
So that's what we do.
There you go.
But yeah, Alec Pietrangelo, he must be dripping on that scissor to think he's gonna bicker over $1 million. As he once reported.
Yeah, the issue isn't with term. Both sides want to do a 7-year deal, you know, as long as possible, 6, 7, even go to the 8-year max. But it's term. He's looking at a little north of $7 million, and the Blues are preferring around the $6 million mark. So they're not that far apart, but it's just going to take a little bit more haggling. But there we are. I still think that Pietrangelo will be signed before Derek Stepan signs with the Rangers.
Oh, yeah, I think that's...
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the Blues have the cap space. They got $7 million and change. They've got the cap space, to sign him at even $7 million right on. I think what'll probably happen is you'll see them meet in that middle. It'll be somewhere around 6.4. The number 6.4 keeps jumping into my head, so I think that they'll probably go with that. But it'll be one of those variance ones, you know. So, you know, probably the middle of the deal, you'll see it jump up to around $8 million or something like that for 2 or 3 seasons. That sort of thing.
Who gets signed first? Pietrangelo, Stefan, or Cody Franson?
Oh, actually, Franson. Franson's going to get, because this situation it's the same thing. It is what it is. He's got no leverage. He waived arbitration. So he's just in that same boat. Got no, you know. The thing where the Leafs here have to be careful is if you give him only a 1-year deal, because that was something that Darren Dreger was speculating on earlier today, that it'd probably be a 1-year, $2 million deal. But if you do that, Franson is going to be an unrestricted free agent then next summer. And if he has an even better year than he had this past season, wave him bye-bye, Toronto, because you will have blown that. Because it's just going to be, you know what, you guys just kept giving me $1 million deals. It's like, you know what, my value's sky high now. I think I'm just going to test that free agent market and take my talents elsewhere. Would not surprise me if you did that. So if the Leafs are smart, they'll try and make it a 2-year deal, you know, $4 million overall. You know, you free up some salary by kicking a couple of guys down to the minors, or maybe once, you know, suggestion was maybe you put Kuhlman on the market, because once you take care of Franson, and they're going to sign Franson, the issue now is what do you do with Mason Raymond? You know, I don't think Dave Nonis invited him to camp for nothing, okay? And I don't think it was, well, come to camp, kid, we'll showcase you so somebody else will sign you. I mean, he drafted Mason Raymond back when he was GM of the Canucks. So that leads to kind of speculation. Well, if you're looking at bringing him in and you got limited cap space, somebody's got to go. And that's why Kuhlman's name is kind of surfaced a bit. Not as an actual, you know, rumor that, yes, Kuhlman's going to go, but just more as a suggestion that, well, if you were going to move somebody out, maybe you move Kuhlman. He's been, you know, he's been an inconsistent scorer. You know, the guy that he played with before, Grabowski, I mean, he's gone now. So, you know, perhaps you put him on the block maybe to a team that could use some scoring depth on the wing. So that would free up $2.8 million.
I have to say, through this whole offseason, I'm glad Darren Dreger has now become the voice piece for the Maple Leafs. I have really enjoyed his insider, and I'm glad that he got hired by the team.
Yeah. No. Well, that's what happens when you're related to the GM. Yeah.
Got hired by TSN. All right, independent Okay, never mind. Scratch that.
Sources say you're a bird.
Exactly.
That was still an awesome. I give him credit. If he ever decides to move on from the hockey gig, he's got a future as a character actor.
Well, of course. I mean, he's a character.
Just as long as it's a lot of Hangover parodies. Yeah.
Hangover parodies and deadpan, and other than that.
Oh yeah,
He's all deadpan. All deadpan everything.
All deadpan.
Don't put him in dancing scenes either. It's really awkward.
Especially not Gangnam Style.
Well, hey, if it's 2012 and we're gonna party like it, Lyle. Let's not go crazy. Any bag of fun there, Lyle? You got anything for us?
Actually,
that maybe pique our interest that we. Yes.
Well, just one thing that kind of caught my interest in that this time around we have not seen any restricted free agents who had no leverage try and use the threat of a KHL contract to give themselves some leverage. But you got to think that at some point in the next few years we're going to see that happen, and it's going to be with perhaps a significant free agent. Obviously, probably not from North American guys. They would prefer to sign the NHL and stick with the NHL. But if you've got yourself a quality Russian player coming off an entry-level deal, or even if he's not, if he waived arbitration, and you're looking at trying to stick him to a shorter term for less money, they could probably use the threat of a KHL contract to garner themselves some leverage, because remember, they can sign with a KHL team, even just a one-year deal. And as long as there's an out clause in there, and as long as they do not play a KHL game once the NHL season starts, it's fair play to use that as a threat. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe back in the day, and that day would have been, I think, 2005 or 2006, Ilya Kovalchuk used that with the Atlanta Thrashers. He signed up with, I believe, the team he's playing for now, the SKA St. Petersburg man.
Pick it up.
I gotta love Russian reggae. But anyway, he did the same thing, because the KHL season starts the first week of September. He was able to play a full month before the Thrashers finally said, "Okay, we'll sign you," just as the NHL season was beginning. So he was able to use that as leverage. Now, we haven't seen anybody else do that since, but I believe that was also before the KHL as well. So now, with the ever expanding Russian league, it's something I think we need to keep an eye on in the next few years, especially when it comes to good young Russian players perhaps coming off entry-level contracts.
It's going to be fun and exciting, I have to tell you that. I don't know. I mean, we talked about it ever expanding, and we talk about that Champions League, and we talk about the NHL saying, we'll have a Champions League, we'll have a World Cup of hockey, we'll have everything, and then I don't know if we're going to do it or not, so it's really moot, and fun times had by all. I don't know. Yep. It's going to be interesting. I'm almost glad that we're getting into the thing and people are holding out. Because then that'll be the talk, and we'll all forget about Drew Doughty, won't we?
No. How could we? Dan Cleary watch going on.
That is true.
Dan Cleary watch.
Hashtag Dan Cleary watch and hashtag Cout.
Well, I'll tell you something. The way that they're going to get around that, if people say, how are they going to get around it? Maybe they'll trade Andre Meszaros. Maybe they will. But there's, I think the more likely way was something that was noted in the from my pal Tim Panaccio, old Panach from CSN Philly. Flyer source said that what they could do is they can demote Sean Couturier and/or Braden Shen, depending on how much cap space they need. Send them down to the minors just for 24 to 48 hours, because as Sean noted to you earlier in his segment that. Yes, they'll get long-term injury reserve or cap relief by putting Chris Pronger on long-term injury reserve and perhaps even Marc-Andre Bourdon. But they have to be on the Flyers' salary cap for the first day of the season. Okay? So, how do they get around that? Like I said, very simple. You demote Couturier and Braden Shen because they're both on two-way contracts. This is the final year of their contracts, two-way contracts, and they're waiver exempt. And that's the beauty of that. They cannot be plucked off waivers. So down they go for 2 days, down to the minors, and then on day 2, you put Chris Pronger on long-term injury reserve, you recall Couturier and Shen, and there you go. Hell, they don't even need to leave town. You know?
And the great part about that is it doesn't have to be the start of their season, just the start of the NHL season, correct?
Yes.
Like, it doesn't have to be this game 1 that the Flyers play. It's game 1 when the Capitals play.
Yeah.
Well, it's the the first
October
day of
1.
the NHL season. Yep, exactly. So if they're not playing then it's fine. You turn around day 2, Pronger goes on long-term injury reserve. Oh, Shen and Couturier come back, and they're until, as I said, now they're back in the lineup. If you're playing on game 2 of the NHL or day 2 of the NHL schedule, as I said, those two don't even have to leave town. So, it's perfect.
And with this report, and I'm so glad that Tim Bonaccio became a real beat writer that day.
Yeah, he did good work on that. Man,
Pinocchio.
I like Pinocchio. I like Pinocchio. He tells interesting stories, but I mean, he does some pretty good work covering.
And you know which one he is, because every rumor he tells a lie about it. His nose grows bigger. It's a whole Pinocchio thing, folks.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everyone.
No, it's all right. No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Lyle. It's a thinking man's joke. It's a thinking man's joke, and you're burnt out.
Me don't think very good. Yeah.
Me no use brain well. Too long off season.
Me gotta go back to community college. The goodest school in Charlottetown.
Let's not diss on community college as a proud goer of community college.
A proud goer, a proud attendee.
Exactly. I attempted to go to community college, and I was like, not really.
No, did I say community? I meant clown college. I'm sorry. That's what I meant.
I went to that partially too. I was Sophistico the clown, and I told these smart jokes, and no one got it then, and I just hit him with seltzer. Literally, I just threw the bottle at him. I didn't even try to spray it. Like, you son of a bitch! If you're gonna be dumb, I'm gonna make you dumb forever. And then I knocked him out. And honestly, since the litigation is over now, I can freely talk about it. But there was a dark period of time which I had to flee to Canada. So
but I'll tell you this though, that did your throwing arm did his pitching arm a world of good. Those seltzer bottles, man, not easy to throw for accuracy.
That's right. Yeah. After Tommy John surgery is a brand new.
Oh, hey.
Exactly. Honestly, the velocity that I'm throwing yogurt, literally and figuratively, in your face, is really good. And
that sounded way too sexual.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that's why I did it. So yeah, the velocity of which is great.
Danger!
Carlos Danger.
I love when John Oliver did that. That's the one thing I miss about John Oliver hosting the Daily Show now, because he would do Carlos Danger. Danger! Just watching a skinny British guy with glasses chair dancing to Danger was just made my summer.
So I love that it was the skinny British guy talking about mainly American politics.
Which is awesome, because American politics always sounds funnier when it's being described by a guy with a British accent. He didn't even have to tell jokes. He just, President Obama is talking about bombing Syria. Well, it's not funny.
Having a laugh, are you?
Freshen your drink, Governor.
It turns into Benny Hill easily. And
there you go. Yeah, there you go.
Really, the greatest thing ever invented on TV was the BBC. So there's that. I mean, they got that going for them.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the dental work.
The big book of British smiles.
Shots fired. I'm going to write an anthem about this now. All right. Well, if there's nothing else that you have in your bag of fun,
that pretty much did it, guys.
We will let you go then. You have a great week. Enjoy the first week of training camp, because I know you're so enthralled with all the action. I am enjoying this, because after the deadest August ever, this is just life has meaning again. You know, the air is a little cleaner, the grass is a little greener, and the booze tastes better.
Yeah. And Lyle's doing his best Johnny Manziel impression.
Money, 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 money.
We'll see.
There we go. All right. Well, Lyle, you take care of yourself. We'll talk to you next week, sir.
Take care, guys.
See you, Lyle.
Bye, Lyle. They're Lyle Richardson, SpectresHockey.net, and thehockeynews.com. That's the interesting thing about having two guests. You get two various opinions about the same damn thing.
Yeah, and we had little time to BS. Because,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I don't know what you did while I was gone.
I did 10 minutes of Brian Burke coverage and talking about my drinking habits. And that was about it. And I had people on Twitter saying, "Are you the only one there tonight? Do you need help?" Or
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm
Sorry,
like,
sorry,
and then you came in an hour into it, and they're like, "Do you still need help?" Or
yeah. That's probably very true.
yeah, they're lovely, and
I'm the
honestly,
weak link.
no, it was Sean Leahy they were worried about mostly because they couldn't see him. He was blended in. But yeah, no, thanks to Sean and thanks to Lyle as always for
Yes.
having a fun time. It's good. Next week, who's to say who's going to show up? I've got
Maybe.
favors I can call in. We could see what's going to happen. You just have to
Maybe
tune
my
in
brother.
next week.
Maybe John.
Maybe John might come in. Who's to say? I'll have to figure out this whole thing about the linking of the Facebook thing or of the YouTube thing because I don't think this one went up on our main FOHS page.
Yeah, well, look, here's how it works. If you logged in with Mark Broadcast
Yes, sir.
and you record it, it automatically goes straight up.
Okay.
Swear to God. Swear to God.
I swear to God.
So if you go to our YouTube page right now, there should be a picture of. You could look at us doing this now as it's happening now.
Weird.
Yeah,
It's kind of creepy.
like
And us talking about it now. Weird. What was that?
that was me looking at my. When is this? This is now.
What? I'm so confused.
What's happening now is happening now. What happened to then? We passed then. When? Just now.
What's happening? By the way, I just want to say this before we get to your shoutouts. Carrying a beanbag chair that looks like a cupcake is the most awkward thing ever in life. I'm just going to leave it at that. Just going to leave it at that. Mr. Mark with the C, you go ahead.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
You'll get pictures tomorrow after the birthday celebration.
Sounds good.
All right, so you go ahead, Mr. Mark, and you give us your shout of outs.
I won't spoil your shout out. I have a feeling I know what's coming up on your shout outs. I'm going to give a shout out to the United States men's national soccer team for qualifying for their 7th straight World Cup, which is actually kind of a big deal when you think about it. They have not qualified. They have not qualified. They have qualified every year since 1990. I'll put it that way. 1986 was the last year they did not qualify for a World Cup. So
There you go.
it's pretty wild. Pretty
That's
awesome.
impressive. That's pretty damn impressive, actually.
Yeah, for a team that isn't supposed to be a soccer country. Shout out to Caps training camp opening up. Shout out to a 7-nation army in Caps training camp, or at least 4, maybe 5. So let's see: Canada, U.S., Sweden, Russia, Australia, and there's got to be somebody from somewhere else, right? So let's call it 7 nations.
Well, check because of Neuver.
Yeah, there you go. There's your 7 nations. There's nobody else in training camp.
Is that the national anthem for the DMV?
It's got to be.
Has to be.
Well, I mean, not for the Redskins.
Yeah, that's the Ravens gimmick. But
Yeah,
at least everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do love their Jack White.
Who doesn't?
Brandon Wise sees to it that I like Jack White because he's a big fan.
It's kind of pushy. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's really bossy of him.
Yes.
I know he wears a sombrero and everything, but it doesn't mean he's part of the Gestapo. He doesn't
Dos
have
es zero. Dos
Yeah,
es
dos
zero.
es zero.
Dos a zero. Dos a zero. Dos es zero.
Dos a zero.
Dos a zero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because those E zeros, those N.
It's just
2
dos.
and 0.
Yeah. 2 and 0 is just dos.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, anything else? I'll shout out. I got a new DVD yesterday in the mail. That's all I get DVDs from. I haven't watched it yet. Don't spoil it. But I get to watch this at some point this week. So
Last movie I saw was Despicable Me. You're fine. I'm not gonna spoil shit for you.
not even number 2.
No, I haven't seen number 2 yet. The little one has.
Nice. Has she spoiled it for you? What happens?
Apparently
wanna
he's.
I haven't
Alright.
even seen number 1.
Okay, well, it's for the best.
And shout out to Francesco, because look at Francesco.
That's a
What a guy.
badass picture. That's
It's
badass right
a
there.
great picture. Look at that guy. That's my future right there. That's 42-year-old Francesco Patanzo. I'm still good. Look at that. It's an attractive human being.
That's
I'm
Johnny.
gonna be that attractive or more attractive in 12 years.
That's
Yeah.
Johnny. That's Johnny in 7 years when he lets
Johnny in
himself go.
7 years. When he lets himself. Yeah. When he finally decides to just grow the beard out. Well, although what's funny is Francesco has more hair than me.
Interesting. Interesting how
yeah.
that works.
at 42.
So Johnny got the hairline, and you're getting the beard scruff. I like it.
Yep. I just let it go. So, I think that's all I got.
Cool. Shout out first and foremost. I gave a shout out to the place I go to all the time, so I'll give a shout out to little Katie Elizabeth. 7th birthday on Monday. Man, has the time flown by. Jesus, I'm getting old. So yeah, we're gonna have a little birthday celebration tomorrow at the Casa de Oise, and
She's already learning cursive, for God's sakes.
dude, we were playing Baltimore in a Box, which is basically Baltimore Monopoly, and she had those little chance cards, and she was reading them verbatim. I'm like, holy crap, you're actually learning shit. All right, this is weird. I don't have to read things for you anymore. I feel kind of worthless now. So there's that. But shout out to her, and it's going to be fun to have a little birthday celebration with her. And if my parents can figure out Skype, which I don't think they will, we'll figure out that from there. So we'll see.
I can only imagine Stan trying to work a computer.
You know what? Stan's actually really good. It's dealing with my mother, which almost wanted me to put like a knife across my throat, like a plastic knife, just slice it, because of the fact that it's just like, God, Mom, how? And she's trying to be all coy about it, and I'm ripping my hair out, and she can see me because I have my camera on Skype, and she can see me. She doesn't know how to work a microphone, unlike me, microphone master. Am I right, kids, or am I right?
Yeah.
So there's that. It's quite the disparity. Obviously, you can tell I'm adopted. So shout out to my parents, Barb and Stan. Big ups to them. Also shout out, of course, Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual. You can get yourself a steak. I got steak bites today, and peppered and potato skins with barbecue sauce. Wash it down with some Antler Air, or you can do my choice, Bighorn Lager, which was on tap today, as it is always with Mr. Mike's stores. And man, that was I wanted to stay there for an hour. I was there for 3.5. That's where the time goes, folks. That's where the time goes. So good company there. I'm glad. I'll be back there Friday. I'll be doing a signing. Just come up to me. I'll sign anything. I don't care what. I'll sign a baby, for Christ's sake. I'll just have a sharp. I'll just start signing things. Who cares? Just sign your bill. Give the kids a 50% tip, and away we go. Wait a minute. I didn't authorize this. What the hell? Shout out to unauthorized tips. Which I also think is what Oklahoma State.
Unauthorized tips.
It's a porno movie.
Great. That's a great porn movie. I'm gonna have to. All right, we'll have to write that one down.
Yep, unauthorized tips.
Maybe
Well, I'm gonna end it there. There's nothing more to say.
Maybe that'll be my novel or autobiography. You guys all have your books.
There you go,
I haven't come up with a book yet.
Tips.
Unauthorized tips.
There you go, kid.
There you go.
Beautiful. Perfect. Done and done. And we can't, can't go any further than that, kids. So for Mark with a C, I'm Scotty Waz. Take care of yourself and someone else. It's been Face Off Hockey Show on faceoffhockeyshow.com, which is also our Tumblr. Catch us out on the Facebook, FOHS Radio, or on the Twitter, FaceOffHCKY Show. But until next week, kids, we'll have another mystery guest. Ooh.